SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 402. I'm your host with the most delays in the month of July, Spencer Presley. We are getting this one in at the last minute, everybody. It's been like, if not 30 days, just shy. And I am very sorry about that. I've been very busy, but to make up for it, I've got everyone's favorite person to stalk on Instagram. No, it's still not the weekend. He has not replied to any of my invites, but he has also not put a cease and desist out. Second best, never forget the rest. We've got the Mac man himself, Jack's Bag of Macca. How's it going, man?
Hello. I don't really. I mean, I think I have an Instagram that I use just to like grab the name, but I don't do anything with the Instagram. No, funny thing, I actually booted up the Instagram the other day, just to check some things, and I found that I had like something followers, and what the hell is following this account? And as some of it's like, okay, so it's like, it's some people that I know, it's like parents or whatever, and then it's a bunch of people with Arabic names. And then it's another instance of how my username, my online moniker, Macca, is also how you spell the Makkah and also Mecca, which is in Islam, it's the holy city and the holy object. And I'm spelled the exact same way. So, if you ever look me up, you will also find a bunch of Islam. You'll find so much of it, and you will find the big black cube,
I'm just so glad that
and I get followed by a lot
I'm
of
just so
Muslims.
glad
And it's
that
like,
people now have a new scavenger hunt. They can now try to find you on Instagram and see if there's anything they can do to like counteract the high amount of Middle Eastern followers you've got.
maybe, who knows? Maybe they could try and do something.
Will Mac ever convert? Will he become a full-time Instagram poster? My money says no.
No. I feel like at most I would probably just like, at most I would just like repost my shorts or whatever onto there.
How are the shorts doing, by the way? I can't help but notice the post sponsorship, the shorts wells run dry.
Well, the shorts honestly have done very well. What it is the reason why I've slowed down on them is just I'm working so much. And I am tired, and I want to get back to it, and I need. I am so tired. I am so tired. There's so
I'm tired, boss.
literally my shift right now. There is the only people who can run it are who can do my shift are me and my manager. And my manager has to be there on other shifts. So it's like, cool, I'm basically the only person doing this shift. I am working a lot, and we've also been hiring. We've interviewed multiple people. All of them are dog shit. All of them are bad. So it's awesome. It's great.
You're tempting me to
I want to get back to
apply,
making
Mac.
videos.
You're tempting me to want to get in there.
You should apply. You get to wear a black suit and tie.
Just imagine me wearing like a three-piece suit. You come up to me and be like, have you heard of the good word of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition coming to Nintendo Switch 2?
Have you heard the good word of Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
I know.
Have you?
I know you've got that pre-order upgrade on lock. You're like, I've never been more ready to download 44 gigs of Pyra and Mithra.
I got I got that. I got all three of them. Just like
Damn.
instant, just locked in.
See, these are going to be the first ones that make me fold on my I have not double dipped on a Nintendo Switch 2 physical that I already owned on Switch 1, just because I was like, okay, I was slow to getting Xenoblade X just after the initial reports, but especially with how good the reports have been for 1, and that actually comes out this week. Although I'm probably not going to pick it up until like after I pay rent and some other stuff. But it's one of those things of like, no, I'd love to like own those again physically as like a Switch 2 thing. Um, I'm excited to pick all of those up, especially just now seeing like how big some of the download sizes are. Although I still need to see because some Switch 2 games do it differently. Of like, I know no matter what you do, there is always something you are downloading or installing onto your system with it. Of like, I'll be curious how much it actually does help you in terms of like memory saving. Whereas like because the difference between Xenoblade 1 and the Switch 2 edition wasn't that drastically big. So like I'm really curious about being like, man, I don't know what they're doing to make like Xenoblade 2 twice as big. Like that'll be a very interesting. Let alone who knows what like how big 3 is going to be.
If I had to guess, it's probably going to be the it's probably going to be the whole. You can now play as the Blades. You can now play as the Blades, and that's probably a number of things that have to factor in. Just the whole new mode. Whereas with Xenoblade 1, the Xenoblade Kart mode is like huge, but it's not like I doubt it was as big as it was like as big or as like exhaustive as like a whole new mode with combat and everything and new mechanics and such.
Oh, for sure. Especially with like I think the biggest thing realistically with Xenoblade 1 Switch 2's version was just all the extra dialogue for the heart-to-heart scenes.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, I am almost confident that in terms of like the voice acting and stuff for the Xenoblade 2 Switch 2 version, most of the voice acting, it's probably just going to be they got because we already know they got the lady who played Cosmos back because she actually technically leaked it because she posted it on her resume. But I'm sure they got her back, and then of course whoever is playing Momo, and I'm going to suspect no one else in Momo's Blade Quest is going to talk except her and Cosmos.
That'd be interesting. I'll be curious, especially just because I feel like Monolith has been humbly quiet about how they've handled all of those. They were like, we're gonna come out stumbling and shitting our pants with Xenoblade Chronicles X, but every other Switch 2 port is just like by comparison immaculate with it. So like it'll be funny of like did one set the bar too high or will two just kind of keep that forward momentum? And I kind of just feel like, especially with how much two has to learn from, with it being technically the oldest, like from release to enhanced version. Like, this is how you know it's old, by the way, dude. Do you know that they never patched Xenoblade 2 on Switch to let you record cutscenes? Isn't that like
That makes sense.
insane? Like that game was older.
That's
That
insane,
game was
yeah.
older than the ability to do that. And Monolith was like, "Well, we're gonna make one of the best DLCs ever with Torna, but we're not gonna let you record 30 seconds of, of gameplay."
Yeah, no, no. No, you're just gonna have to wait for Xenoblade 3. Which, speaking of, I'm very curious to see who that new hero is gonna be.
Oh, see, with
Um,
with 3, the one I'm dying for is I feel like without a doubt, like unless I'm maybe like horrifically wrong, I feel like they're making a Xenoblade Vampire Survivor clone, and I'm all here for it. That new gameplay mode looks so fun.
yeah, it looks awesome. It looks really cool. Uh, and like I 100%ed Xenoblade 3. I adored it. It's my favorite game of all time, and this is just like I'm so excited to jump back in with this whole new mode and try it out. I am very excited.
Don't forget, by the way, I think it's this week as well. Torna is getting an update for Switch 2. It's not getting a native Switch version, but it's getting all the graphical versions that the paid version's getting it for free.
That's crazy.
I know, especially because like I feel like I'm a little surprised considering the way they handled X Definitive Edition. I almost would have not put it past Nintendo to make it like another $5 upgrade. So like the fact that yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah, coming out on the 30th. Torna, whether you're playing it in the game or the standalone version, will get a update this week that bumps it up to 4K 60.
Dang. Okay, dang. Okay, well, hey, let's see how it goes. Let's see how this goes. Whether or not this port is how this port's going to do, because I know, I know the Xenoblade One Switch 2 version. People have issues with it because it just doesn't. It apparently has like frame rate issues that were not there in the original. Um, which, yeah, that's pretty disappointing. I would hope that they would fix that, but I'm curious if there's going to be something similar with uh uh Xenoblade 2 Switch 2 version.
Yeah, I'll be curious,
There's
especially
always some kind of
especially just because at least from a technical aspect, none of them have been perfect. But like that's kind of my hope is that, and I mean they haven't shown it so far. It's still so weird they haven't gone back and repatched X specifically because that had them a lot more egregious visual problems. But it's like I, I gotta imagine they're doing it, and especially with the fact that they're cranking all these out in 1 year, it's gotta be such a crunch for them. Of like, none of these have just been like a small technical update, even though that's probably they could have done that and everyone would have been fine. So like, I'll be curious once we get three and things settle down leading up into Genesis if they do like one more quality of life update for the other releases.
hopefully just fix up those little problems, improve it, just make them the definitive versions. Haha, because it's definitive edition.
But yes, Xenoblade slop aside, Mac, what have you been because we've been busy working, boys. Your reason is very similar to mine. I literally got to a point with my day job where I just had to tell myself I was like, I'm so busy that like my days have kind of just turned into like, all right, I'll sleep in a little bit because I'm tired of how long I worked the day before, eat, work, want to do more, let alone do anything creative, like maybe play an hour or two of something and then kind of rinse and repeat. Just like it's been a very weirdly busy summer for me, which has been extra much of a bummer because we've just been drowning in so much good stuff to play. But what have you been playing in the meantime? And if it is not Rhythm Heaven Groove, why do you hate peak cinema?
Because I'm still playing Star Force. Almost said Star
That's
Fox, but
good.
I meant Star Force.
Wait. Oh, Mega Man Star for okay, that yeah, that gets a pass. I was like, I loved the idea that like you've been so busy you haven't even cleared like one run of Star Fox. You're like, damn, bro, Corneria is kicking my ass.
Yeah, Corneria is really hard, dude. No, I finally got back to Star Force 2 and started playing through that, and yeah, no, I still adore Star Force. I almost said Star Fox again.
Why did you
But
Why
no,
did you not buy
it's
Star
great, and
Fox?
I've just
That's
been
the real
playing that.
question.
No, I actually did buy Star Fox, and I played it, and I played the heck out of it.
I'm saying, dude, low key, Switch 2 banger summer. This is a banger summer for Switch 2 owners.
Yeah, no, it is pretty solid. I have Splatoon Raiders, but I'm not playing that until I finish at least Star Force 2.
So are you just gonna like commit all the way and just go through all of them, or do you think you'll take a bit more of a break in between two and three?
I am so what I'm doing is I'm playing Star Force game, and then I play something else in the meantime, maybe one or two things, just depending, just to kind of give myself a little break, and then I jump back into it. Um, so yeah, that is my current goal with all of that. Is just I'm gonna play through two, play Raiders, and then given enough time before the September Madness hits, I'm gonna jump into three.
Man, it just went on sale like $30. I saw like physically over the week, and like as we're going to talk about later with the whole like Sony thing with it, I've had such a fucking fire lit up my ass about like getting some more stuff physically, because like, obviously you and me have always been like big like collectors of things, whether it be movies or games and stuff. But the fucked up thing now is like, man, I hate that we have a timetable on this, and I'm extra fucked. Like the whole 2028 thing for Sony disc, especially like with me being like a primarily like PlayStation owner is one thing. It's the Vita store closing down next year that's really got a fucking gun to my head, because I still have so many games I need to buy
Mm,
before the Vita store gets nuked. Like I've had a list
mm.
since 20, I think it was 2022 when they were initially going to shut it down. So like when that happened, I went through the Vita store and I made a giant like list that's all right, here's every game on the Vita that I have to buy before it gets shut down. And I've been slowly ticking it away, but there's still so many games like I haven't gotten yet. And then like the fact that it's like, oh well, now I got to like 2027, I'm like, oh man, trying to get old shit while playing current shit and then also trying to buy new shit is like, it's just like, oh man, this is gonna be painful as we lead up to the store closure.
Yeah, yeah. No, the fact that they announced it on the same day, it's like it was just ripping the Band-Aid
But
off.
you got
It was
you
ripping the
gotta
Band-Aid
admit
off. It was
though,
just like,
especially from an evil corporation side, the level of discourse between people talking about the disc thing, and obviously the disc thing is a way bigger deal than the Vita store closing, well, Vita and PS3, but like, dude, I think especially when people get closer to that actually coming, like remember, like people were pissed when they did that, when they tried to do it 4 years ago, and it's like, dude, there's so much like just stuff that's going to be lost on those systems, especially with them still not being backwards compatible. It is a little ironic though, especially as we're like almost into August, of like, it is kind of funny like the PS3's last big exclusive is finally leaving this year with MGS4. Like that's kind of like one of the last
hmm.
real big ones that matter, which by the way, dude, when that comes out, I cannot wait to see what MGS4 looks like running on a Switch. Because remember, that's running it's releasing on Xbox, PS5, Switch 2, and Switch 1. And I'm like, dude, it's like that's gonna be like the Kojima like mindfuck moment of just being like, never in a million years were they gonna be like, we're gonna have this like half cooked toaster from 2016 run this PS3 exclusive.
It's so what I think is really funny is that it took this long for it to finally escape, but two, it's just like there the fact that it feels a little lopsided, this whole collection actually, that because it's like, was it, so the first one had MGS 1, 2, and 3. The second one is having four four Peace Walker, and then what was it? It was Ghost
Yeah, so
Babel.
technically Volume 1, I think Volume 1 they actually it's tough because 2 and 3 is such a lazy inclusion because they literally did nothing at release to make that game any better. They eventually patched it, but like that, like the majority of MGS Volume 1, like you were buying that for Metal Gear 1. Sorry, for Metal Gear Solid 1. But because I think Konami felt they had to make up for it so much, the amount of stuff they added in was really insane. Like they added the comic books, like they added the Ashley Wood stuff, they added, honestly, shy of everything. Like at this point, I was a little shocked they didn't just include that like making of documentary game. Like, do you remember how they made that the document of Metal Gear Solid 2? I was a little shocked they didn't just say fucking import that over as well. But like, Volume 1 technically includes this many games. I'm going to try and count it out while I say them. Metal Gear 2 on MSX, Metal Gear Snake's Revenge on NES, MGS1, MGS2, MGS3. So that's 7 games versus Volume 2 gives you Portal, sorry, not Portable Ops, which still feels weird, but Peace Walker, which is a ginormous game. Like literally, Peace Walker is longer than every game in Volume 1 combined, maybe even twice. MGS4, which is just a technical marvel on its own, and then finally including Ghost Babel, the Game Boy Color game, which the best part about that being on that collection, I hope you know, is like a fellow like old head like me, that game is insanely good but insanely expensive. Like Metal Gear, if you've never played Metal Gear Solid on Game Boy Color, I want to say like loose cart, it's like I know for sure at least $100 and way 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 more if you want it like complete.
Yeah, no, it is so expensive. It's so rare to come by, but it's apparently just really, really good. It's a really
Oh, have you
good
have you never played
classic
Ghost Babel?
2D MGS game. Nope.
It's so like best part about it that people definitely skip, especially with it having been a Game Boy game, and not having any voice lines. Some of the best codec calls in the whole series. It's got an insane amount of codec calls. With them all being there, it's a shame. Obviously, none of them are going to be voiced over with it, but the pixel art's great. All the like story is really, really well done. It's another like kind of twist on what if we made a weird pseudo remake of Metal Gear 1 on the MSX, but especially as a follow-up to Metal Gear Solid, like the people are going to realize like Ghost Babel is definitely up there in terms of like I would say at least top 5 Game Boy games of all time.
Mm, okay, yeah. No, I have heard incredible things about it, and I very much would love to play it. It was just one of those things that, it's very expensive and hard to come by. So you get it when you get it.
Yeah, and that was one like I played back in the day when it came out, but I remember selling it back when I would purge like my collection, just getting like new stuff with it. But it's like really funny of like I'm trying to look it up on price charting right now. Unfortunately, like it's called Ghost Babel everywhere else except here, but it is just called
Yeah, it's
Metal
just called
Gear
Metal Gear
Solid. Here
Solid.
we go. All right. So, oh no, that's the PAL version. Damn it. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people think. I think especially with it being $50. I mean, the last collection was $50 as well. I think in terms of bang for your buck, you're ironically getting more games. Sorry, you're getting more gameplay out of Volume 2. You are just undeniably getting less video games. So I'll be curious to be like, do you think people are still going to be into it, or do you think people are going to be like, why am I getting less than half the games that I got last time?
I think there will be some people who will feel a little disappointed just in the sense that there's not as much because even the first one it was 3 games. Technically it was 5 games because the version of 3 had Metal Gear 1 and 2. So it was 5 games in total. This is only 3 games. And that is a little disappointing. Honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Mega Man Legacy Collection, the one for classic Mega Man, where they put the first one out and it was 6 games. It was all the NES games, and then they put out the second one. And it was only 4 games, and it's like that's a little lopsided.
Yeah, that's true, especially because both of those were priced the same. But then, like, that was the other funny one of because remember Digital Extreme, not Digital Extreme, the guys who do all the Atari stuff right now, they did that first collection and they had put so many bonus features, so many brand new things in there. And Capcom did a lot of similar stuff with it, but like that was the first one Capcom did internally because every other Mega Man collection besides Legacy Collection 1 was all done internally at Capcom. So that was why it was kind of funny with like two of like I think 2 almost gets a pass for Mega Man because and I mean that was always going to be such a weird sell because it's like we are including 2 great Mega Man games with 9 and 10 and we are including 2 very controversial games with 7 and 8.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, hey, it's still not Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2.
Dude, if Capcom had had the balls back then to be like, no, 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 we're gonna sell Mega Man X Legacy Collection Volume 2 as its own like separate thing, the way they did in Asia, it'd be so funny. It's like, how would you like to own the worst games in one collection? It would make like the Sonic Gems collection look like a museum piece.
No, like seriously, X2 or like X Legacy Collection 2 is that is a collection of not just the worst Mega Man X games, but like the worst Mega Man games almost. Like it is so bad.
Like, it's great that it's there as like a bundle. Like, buying them all for 40, I think, is such a great deal, especially for history. But like X Legacy Collection 2, I think holds a special place for being like, it's impressive that they didn't, because I think no one would have stopped them if they just stopped after 6. They're like, 1 through 6, that's fine. Don't worry about the rest. We'll be fine. You could keep Command Mission. We won't be mad at you. But like, the only little weird thing with it, although like they ironically have just been getting better and better with all the Mega Man collections, which is really impressive, especially in a post Battle Network world. Of like, really the only things kind of left at this point are the really weird stuff with Legends, with that GameCube Mega Man Battle Network game. Whereas like, and at this point, like I'm not doubting the fact that it's like, I feel like we've got maybe one, possibly two Mega Man collections left before we've really done it all. Where like, I think that it would be super fun for them just to do a catch-all collection. Like, do Legends, and I mean, I feel like if you want the easiest slam dunk ever, the best thing they can do with Legends collection is just include that demo from the 3DS version that everyone knows is done but they've never released. Like, that would sell so many copies just alone with like, think of, by the way, speaking of crashing the retro market, like for secondhand stuff, making a cheap accessible version of Mega Man Legends 1, Tron Bon, and Legends 3. I would just be like,
Hmm.
that would be sick. But then all the other stuff
No,
of
it would
like,
be awesome.
have a weirdo collection. Have a collection that's like, here's Mega Man and Bass, here's that Battle Network GameCube game, here's Mega Man Soccer, here's like all the weird stuff you would never think of just being like, this is the kitchen sink collection. Like, here's Mega Man Maverick Hunter on PSP, here's Powered Up on PSP, like all the stuff no one ever thinks of. And even like other weird ones of like another Mega Man game that was 100% finished but never released. Like, fuck it, dude. Imagine a world where Capcom just says fuck it and releases Mega Man Universe just because they're like, why not? We'll include it.
Why not? Screw it. Throw it in there. Mega Man canceled Legacy Collection.
Dude, no, that was the whole thing. Especially like I will 100% understand why they canceled Legends 3. I think the stupidest thing they ever did was never releasing that demo, that paid demo that everyone was gonna get. It was like, everyone knew it was done, and it's like why not? Like, people have paid for less and gotten more.
I I honestly think I have wondered like what are they going to do for a Legends Legacy Collection, because Legends is only 3 games, and I feel like you need at minimum
Oh,
4 things in
I've I've
there to
I've already
justify it.
got you. Now I'm a sicko and I love this when it comes to collection. So let me know what you think of this. The Legends collection, let's say 40, 50, 60 bucks, whatever it is this. Mega Man Legends 1, 2, and Tron Bon, all the PlayStation versions. You include the N64 versions,
Hmm.
the PSP versions of both that Japan got and we never did. Those are totally unique versions, and then that Legends 3DS demo that never released. Like, that's 6, technically 7 games at that point. Like, I feel like that's enough like weird history that you could do that people would be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah, just like make it a definitive, like just every version. Part of me has also wondered like what if they did for Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection, what if they did make like combine it with the weirdo games, as like you were saying, rather than having it be its own thing, to kind of almost make it like a really like a really special or really unique uh version for like a legacy collection. Is just like you get the Legends Legacy Collection and then you get all the weird stuff.
I would love that, but I
But
think I
I
think the
think
problem is because of how long the Legend games are, it would almost kind of be like you're giving people too much. Like, people, that would be the thing of being like, Capcom would be like, could we do this in one collection? 100%. But at the same time, is like, would people also just say F it and just buy the Weirdo Collection and Legends on its own. Like, you got to imagine, especially at this point, like they have to be leaving Legends last on purpose.
Oh, 100%. The fact that they did like Star Force first tells me it's like, oh, they're doing this on purpose. Because honestly, like I adore Star Force, highly underrated. But it's the fact that it's so underrated that was like the only reason they would do Star Force before Legends is because they're purposefully leaving Legends for last.
It's crazy, especially because it's not like the Battle Network and especially Star Force ports are like lazy. I think like when you look at how much bang for your buck gameplay you get out of both of those games, like I genuinely was so impressed by how much TLC they were putting into Star Force, like with the extra graphics, all the
Oh,
music, like the fact like they could have literally just shit out a bunch of
getting
emulators and done nothing.
they got all the voice actors back, not just the one, all of them, and they redid all of the music. And it's crazy. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is far and away the best Legacy collection. I personally have felt that like each Legacy collection has like just superseded and like beaten out the one previously. But this one is far and away like, oh, this is just the best one, period. There's like no competition.
Which is a shame because I feel like Star Force is actually the least appreciated just because I think Star Force is very niche and it just released in a really busy time this year.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I hope it sells well. I hope it's selling well. I know Capcom is doing their was it? They're doing their sales report or something at the end of the
Oh
month.
no, that
So,
actually just came out this week. Not this week,
oh,
literally
Did it?
today.
Literally today? Okay, I haven't seen anything then. So, maybe they'll mention something. Maybe they would have mentioned
I
something.
don't
I hope.
think Mega Man had its own standout thing. The biggest news out of it was three things. RE2 is now the best-selling RE game of all time.
Of course,
RE9.
two is.
Well, no, because remember, the previous record holder before it was 7, and the previous record holder for over a decade was 6. So that was kind of surprising that 2's actually usurped both of those now. Specifically 2 with remake, but still, that's like an
Well,
insane amount of copies.
real quick, does it mean specifically RE2 remake is the best selling, or
Yes.
RE2 counting both the remake and okay,
Two,
just remake?
yeah,
Well,
two,
I
two,
yeah,
two remake
that makes
with
sense.
it,
You know,
on top of the fact of
two remake is the best one.
well, on top of the fact that 9 is at 8, I think it's 8.5 million, and that's only in 5 months. So
That's
nine
crazy.
is now the fastest selling in the entire series by like multiple magnitudes. On top of the fact that what was the other one? Pragmata in only 3 months is already at 2.5 million, which is also insane.
Damn. That's crazy. That's awesome. Capcom is doing good right now.
They're living up to their name, man. The Capcom Lords over here. They can't be stopped.
They're Cap God.
So let's see. We glazed Nintendo. We glazed Capcom. We're not going to be glazing Sony later, but to pivot us into our very long outro, or I guess to pivot us out of our very long outro, we'll go into the Atlas news we've missed. I bet, by the way, outside of maybe one or two of these things, Mac, I need you to let me know if you legitimately knew any of these had happened in the last month, because I think like you're a good litmus test of someone who sees a lot of shit, but you're not someone who's like seeing every single little weird piece of Atlas news. So we're going to start with number one. Did you see what Persona 4 Revival announced at Billy Billy World?
At Billy World. No, I don't think so. I mean, I might have, but I just didn't. If I did, I didn't realize it was announced there.
We're already farther than I thought you were going to be because, Mac, I was ready for you to say, what the fuck is Billy Billy
Oh no, I know what
Okay.
Billy World is.
I know ball, but Mac knows ball. So they announced that this year, first time ever, and this is a big deal, by the way. People don't understand. Me and John Cena understand the severity of this news. Persona 4 Revival will be the first game to ever have a Chinese voice dub, which they announced it in the most Chinese way possible by having a bunch of background dancers and a live stage show with it. But they showed off every single member who has been voiced so far in the English and Japanese trailers. Were basically they had a version of it where it was all dubbed in Chinese, and I'm like, man, that's crazy because for the longest time, it's been 30 years in the whole series, we have never had a dub that was not just English or Japanese.
I think I did hear this. I think I did. It was one of those things where it was like, oh, cool, and then it just kind of moved on. But this does sound kind of familiar.
I'm just interested in it because Chinese dubs are always really interesting to me. Whether I traditionally like I'm not a subs versus dubs snob, but I will say when a game I think traditionally makes sense or is developed in mainland China, I like to lean towards trying the Chinese dub just because we don't normally get a lot of games like that here in the West. Like a good example was like I've pretty much always played every Hoyoverse game in Chinese. I don't like because they usually do English, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Chinese one was like it was like oh yeah I'll give this a try, and another big one that was and this was an even more funnier one of like they went oh I think it was like 20 plus years that Dynasty Warriors 9 was the first game ever to have a Chinese dub for a series that is about mainland China, like Chinese history. All right, what's the first game? All right, we're gonna make you wait 20 years and you get a Chinese dub. Like playing Dynasty Warriors in Chinese is the most why have we not been doing this thing ever for me. But like what was so funny about with the Persona thing was the reception to it was a lot more positive than I would have thought. Although I think a large part of that is just been the absolute snowball of positivity they've had since the Xbox showcase in June. I think they've been really smart about how much they're showing the game. Like it feels like you can't go a week without some new footage coming out for this game to the point where like the joke has been by the time February gets here, like we're going to have seen the entire fucking game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like they'll spoil who the traitor is, or not the traitor, the culprit.
Dude,
They'll spoil who the culprit is
I will
in the
say
trailers.
someone posted this recently and I didn't put too much thought into it, but like they specifically have not they have shown visually the imposter, not the imposter. They have visually shown who the culprit is in Persona 4 Revival's trailer, but they have not had them like revealed as their talking point. And there was a funny thing where they were like, you know, it'd be really funny is if they keep it the same voice actor from the PS2 one. Just because like that one was like such a specific of like oh it was interesting who voiced them, especially considering they voiced multiple people in the game. Where I'm like, man, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm always here for like I want to hear like new people showing up as like voice actor stuff with it. There would be a tiny like fanboy part of me where I'm like, you know how like we had Elizabeth for Reload. If we could keep the like, if there was one voice I could keep from the whole cast, it would probably be the culprit because I'm like, dude, they're just so perfect at that role. Like, I would not be disappointed at all, and that'd be like a very fun, like, kind of gimme to the fans. Even though, like, I'm sure most people would be pissed, the original cast is not back completely in English, and only Japan gets the same.
I don't think that's going to happen. Mainly because uh, the actor who played the culprit said recently, or at least someone who talked with them was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're back playing X character in this other game." I'm going to be very vague. I'm going to be very vague because I fully believe that now that P4R is coming out, it is reinvigorated. It is like created a sort of like grace period of like, hey, it's like the biggest it's like the most known thing about P4, but now that it's coming out again, maybe let's like chill on it for a minute and just offer a little grace to people who might not know somehow, just might not know. But I think we should just be quiet about who it is. But the actor was like, someone was like, "Oh, it's so awesome for you to be back in this other game that uh, uh asked you to reprise your role." And then that actor apparently said, "Yeah, it's always nice when a game, when a game they ask you to come back for something, unlike this other game." And it was like, "Oh, you throwing a little bit of shade, it sounds like, assuming this was real. Assuming this was real. But
The
if
shade
that was
from the
real,
English voice cast I definitely get, but at the same time, it would be really funny if it was like, because like I said, that person voices multiple characters in the original game. It would be really funny because they're like, well, I didn't lie to you. I just said I didn't voice this person again.
no, that's true. That's true. Um, and honestly, I do think if there's any actor who is going to come back, I think it's going to be Margaret. Just because that would keep in line with Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'll be curious
I
if they
think
do
they're not
because
going
we've
to
had multiple
recast.
Margarets though. That's the tricky thing. Like, which Margaret do you bring? Do you bring back OG Margaret, Persona 4 Arena Margaret, Persona Anime Margaret, Persona Q Margaret? Like, it's that one's a messier character versus Terra was always Elizabeth.
That's fair. I would say most recent, whichever one is the most recent, which would have been Q, right? I want to say it was
It
Q.
would be Q, but then
Um,
technically most recent would actually be the
oh
re-release of
no, it'd be
Ultimax.
true. Well, that didn't add anything. Was the most recent recorded. Most recent recorded, actually, probably dancing.
Yeah, I'll have to remind myself which one for that one. But yeah, although ironically, I think like especially with like Margaret's a big character in four, not big character. She is a prominent side character in four, but I think especially with like how much Marie kind of steals the screen time, Margaret never really gets the attention Elizabeth gets, just because Elizabeth gets that whole bag, you know?
hmm Another thing I'll say, well, actually, I think Marie might actually be a decent counter argument to my theory because Marie is also, Velvet Room attendant and she got recast, but I feel like the difference there is that Marie is like a very strange character for Velvet Room attendant in that she actually will just like she's like clearly her being a Velvet Room attendant is like almost secondary. She feels like she could have just been like any other girl almost. What I'm trying to say is she's not treated in the same way as a standard Velvet Room attendant.
Yeah, I mean I feel like even though she is an attendant, or like a Velvet related character similar to like a Jose or whatever, I can kind of see where that one would change versus them not, because like I actually kind of treat Marie more like a social link character, less like a attendant officially. But I'll just be
hmm
curious, especially because they've been very slow about showing the whole cast of like. I feel like the culprit is one that if they can keep it in their pants to release, they'll probably like have a trailer where it's announced. Uh, it's hard to say because the character's just in all the games, so it's really hard to say. I feel like we'll know it sooner than later. Like probably TGS is when we'll find out. If not the full cast, we'll hear about it more. Because really, the only kind of questions we have left are we still don't know Kanji, we still don't know Naoto, we still don't know Teddy. The fact that we got Rise announced before Teddy is super weird. The other weird one on top of it was, and this is the one I wanted to ask you. Did you watch the Anime Expo panel they did that was actually live streamed?
I did not know.
So it was, I think if this was one of those funny ones where I mean, I had FOMO for Anime Expo for different reasons this year, but the funny thing with it was I was glad it was live streamed because if I had gone in person, I might have been a little bit more sad that I missed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas the weird thing is having just watched it while I was at work, I was like, oh, this is actually the best way to kind of take it all in. Because the announcements, it was like, okay, this could have been a press release. Like, they basically had about 10 minutes worth of news in a 45-minute long panel. The nicest thing about it was instead of it being voice actor focused, they had a voice actor. They had Paul, the guy who's voice acting Yosuke, was the moderator, and then they had a bunch of the Atlas creatives on stage, which I thought was a nice hand. The biggest news out of all of it, I guess depending on who you are, I guess the second biggest news, in my opinion, was that Abby is going to be voicing Risei. But the funnier one that I was like a little shocked more people didn't kind of freak out about as much as me, and I'd be curious what you thought about it, was like, I can't believe that they confirmed it and brought the director out for it. Was that the director or the lead producer? I'll have to remind myself who was on the stage. But they confirmed that Mappa was doing the animated cutscenes, which I just thought was so funny. Of like, dude, if you ever wanted proof that P4R has a way bigger budget than P3 Reload, like having Mappa do the cutscenes is like no joke.
No, seriously, seriously. Honestly, I mean, even just looking at it, the lighting looks a lot better, even though there are still a number of areas that I think could be better, could be better. Um, Mainly just like color wise. I think the shots we've seen where it's like foggy or overcast, and it just is supposed to look dreary. I think the characters really just stick out like a sore thumb. I think they look wrong. It doesn't look like the lighting or the weather is affecting them, but it's affecting the environment. Uh, but no, like from everything we've seen so far, this looks like like it's a higher effort. It has more going for it, and it feels like they learned a lot more of the lessons. We need to see more of what things look like indoors, because that was another thing, is the lighting in P3R. The indoor lighting looked rough at times, depending on the area. The dorm is infamous, but there were a couple of other areas where the lighting looked kind of wonky.
Yeah, the only thing we've seen so far is the school and the one, or I guess two rooms in the Dojima house.
Mm-hmm. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. One other thing before we get too far away from the voice actor stuff, one thought that has hit me as all this news has been coming out, and there's been like controversy of how dare they recast the actors. I just keep thinking about, like, out of all of the Persona games to be upset that they're recasting the actors, why this one? Why P4? Because P4 is the one that actually recast the characters like every time. I don't know, like there are more instances of them having to recast someone for the new game than there are games in which they actually just retain the entire cast from the last time.
It's I get it, even as someone who hasn't been like a vocal like naysayer about it, only in the sense of the characters who were the most prominent for that, like Johnny, like Chie, sorry, like Aaron, like Aaron, Aaron twice, Aaron and oh my God, why am I? Oh, Yuri. I was thinking like Aaron and Yuri were the ones I was getting mixed up with. Like, those and Amanda as well, specifically. I think having those main four be so locked to those roles for a decade plus just did way more than any of the other games we're gonna do, because P3 had a way longer amount of silence between. Because you got to remember, like between Persona 3 Fez, I mean, I guess you could say Portable. Yeah, there is new voice acting in Portable. But like even Portable to Persona 3 Dancing, that was almost a whole decade. Like that was 8 years, 7 to 8 years. So it's like one of those ones of like there were way
True.
longer moments between the world of P3 than there were with P4. P4, you almost never went a year without something P4 related releasing.
True. It feels just strange to me. It's like maybe part of it is just the fact that I'm already just wasn't like the biggest fan of P4 for a number of my problems with it, but it to me it just feels like the most like, yeah, I'm not surprised they're recasting. They did it for P3, and P4 is already the one that recast the most, so it just doesn't mean anything to me. But for other people, it's like how dare you? It's like you've shamed You've brought shame upon my family. How dare you? I will spit on your grave. And it's like, okay, jeez.
I think it's funny, especially like I said, with us having seen so much of the game. I think a lot of us forget that those feelings and those sentiments, they weren't as vocal, but they were definitely there for P3 Reload. And a lot of that went away once the game's full cast was out, and especially once the game was out. I think it also helped that a lot of the bigger voice actors really started blowing up like right as that came out. Like you look at like pre Xeno, Alex Lee, Alejandro, like all of them, like pre P3R getting announced versus when that came out. Like so many of those people really blew up. Whereas like I think realistically the most famous person in the voice cast of P4R so far is probably Chie's. Just because I know she's done a bunch of stuff like, but she, I mean, even that, like she's done a lot of really like big anime, but like I think probably her biggest lead role is her time in JJK, but even that's not even like one of like the big ones like in terms of like characters for that whole show. So I'll just be really curious because yeah, the cast has been very inspired so far in terms of the trailer. Like I need to remember his name with it, but I was really excited when they had announced because a lot of people thought Stephen Fu was going to be you. And then it was announced that it was actually the guy who does Kafka from Kaiju Number 8, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good choice because even though you're not going to get a lot of like him talking, like he has such a really good, unique kind of voice. Whereas like I think Stephen Fu works well as a Raito for how understated that character is, especially for a really older game that doesn't have a lot of talking and does not have a lot of lines. I think he's a lot more of kind of a playing it safe protagonist character versus you look at someone like Alex or you look at someone like the new voice for Yu Narakami. It's like, okay, like you want to have some room for personality, but you don't want them to just be their base like blank slate PS2 model.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Mac,
No, you're
but
right.
Mac, we're not here to talk about voice actors. I'm here to glaze Studio Mappa. I need your thoughts. I need your opinions. How many mandatory overtime weekends will this game have? It's like, what was your reaction when you heard Mappa was working on this? Because the funny thing is, I'm always shocked when Mappa announces projects, but then I also have to remind myself that Mappa, I feel like at any given day, is working on 20 different anime.
I I feel it's I feel like my feelings on it's the sort of thing where my immediate feelings about the fact that it's Mappa is in part informed not by the fact that it's Mappa, but by the fact that people like I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand how the Japanese animation industry works, and they'll just be like, "Oh, I see the same names over and over again, so that means it's going to be good." When it's not about the studio, it's about the people behind the project. Uh, but I will say Mappa is a unique instance in which they it is a very famous company that's done a lot of really good stuff, a lot of huge stuff, and it's cool that they're on this. It's really cool that they're on this, but I want to see something before I really like have much of an opinion. I want to see it. I want it to be better than what P3R did. I want it to actually emulate what the original P4 was doing with its animation and not simply just take what the original did and just made it boring. Because that's what P3R did. And I already had a huge rant video about that. And I need to see what it looks like before I actually have any sort of opinion.
We're still early. I will say so at Anime Expo, and you can look up the trailer online. I don't think they made a dedicated trailer to it, but there's archives of the panel. They did a full cutscene just demonstration, which we've gotten glimpses of the 2D section through the trailers, but like something that was like a full 30 plus second clip of them, and it's the like moment where the eyeball mouths. Not the eyeball mouths. I guess it's they're like shaped like eyeballs.
Whatever the
Yeah. But like
whatever those shadows are called.
it has the first shadow kind of reveal with it, and I will say, I'm not someone who did not like P3R's anime cutscenes, but especially because I remember talking to you when you were working on that video, I would say those cutscenes, they're at least for me, the most damning thing I think about when I think of P3R's 2D animated cutscenes they are very sterile to a fault. Like they feel like they're emulating what the PS2 ones were going for, but instead they're just kind of like, okay, well, reduce, minimize. Whereas I looked at like the Mappa cutscene that they showed off with it, and it immediately kind of gave me the vibe, ironically, not of playing Persona 4 back in the day or even Golden, but gave me the kind of kick in the ass that I really loved and appreciated that studio, um, no, the A1 Studios who did the original P4 anime did, of like it hit that vibe of like it looks like it, the characters look bright, the Shadow World has that weird kind of undertone to it, but then also bringing the weird and the grotesque animation. I would say specifically with stuff you see, like I would say more so in like Jujutsu Kaisen, like if you've ever seen like how they animate the demons, like them bringing that kind of knowledge into how they animate these larger than life shadows was a really good sign of it being like, okay, this is not just trying to emulate the PS2 animated cutscenes or even be a one-to-one. This is them really modernizing it while still having a full kind of appreciation for it. Because even one of the things I thought was funny with the panel, they didn't get a lot of time to talk to the Mappa guest who was there. And the funny one though was when they were talking about it, he was saying like the director who did all these cutscenes did a full series playthrough before doing any of the work. Like basically, once he got the job,
I did
he
see
was like,
that.
I'm gonna, I want to play through not just P4, like I want to play through all of these with it. And I think like that's such a good thing. Not only just in the terms of like that's how you like earn easy points, like it is, but at the same time, it's like you want to kind of do that just because all those games, especially the earlier games and even the newer ones, use animation in such drastically different ways, like extreme, even 3 to 4, they're very very different the way they handle animation.
Mhm. I just I need to see more. I need to see more before I actually like have any kind of real opinion on it. Uh it just don't be P3R. P3R felt like they were literally taking what was in the script and just putting it on screen, and there you go. You're done.
I'm trying to look up and remind myself who did the animations. It was Wit. It was Wit. That was the funny thing because the rumor right now is that Wit is doing P6. Which, to be fair, Studio Wit, very similar. They are not a similar studio to Studio Mappa, but in terms of their scope and scale and projects they work on, saying something is a Studio Wit animation could mean so many different things. Like, not everything is going to be sorry, not everything is going to be One Piece. Not everything's going to be um, Spy Family. Not everything is going to be like P3R. So like I think that's kind of interesting. Although man, I really would be curious. Like if you had to guess, because we'll never know this kind of information. Who do you think's? I would almost. My gut at least would tell me. I feel in my heart Studio Mappa should be more expensive, but I almost feel like because of how many mainstream hits that they're always kind of working on, that I could actually see maybe Wit, but it's hard to say.
I don't know. I don't know. And I one thing I will say is what you said about Wit with how like you don't know which one you're gonna get. I feel like you could almost say the same thing about Mappa. Uh just because again, they are also so heavy in so many different projects. Both of those studios are just kind of like weirdly connected in large part because of the Attack on Titan as well as Vinland Saga weird pipeline they did where it's like Wit starts it, Mappa finishes it, which is weird. I don't know why that happened.
I do want to say though, because we don't have the full staff confirmed, I did have someone reach out and had said at least some of the staff who is working on P4R is actually the staff who had worked on Ranma One Half, the one from I think like 2 years ago. I at least just want to say, especially as an old head, uh, very underrated. I think Ranma One Half is a extreme like I don't know if you've been watching or have you been following or watching a lot of the discourse between Ghost in the Shell right now.
I mean, I've been seeing it. I know of it. I have seen people, uh, argue back and forth, and it's one of those things where I will get around to watching new Ghost in the Shell at some point.
It's so good. It's
Um,
so good.
but I think people are stupid, and I think they are. It's one of those things where it's what it people. I think it's one of those like almost pseudo intellectual like I'm better. I'm better because this is I have the better thing where it's like every adaptation needs to be 1-to-1 and we've been deprived of this. I assume that's what you're talking about, and I don't agree with that.
It's it's interesting because I think especially with Ghost in the Shell is almost one of those weird ones of like no one's a tourist if they look at new Ghost in the Shell and say this does not do anything for me, but I think a large amount of people need to take a step back and realize that this is a 40-year-old manga that is finally getting a proper adaptation. And unlike something that I would say, I don't know if this is a controversial take, but like my kind of take with it was it's doing a delayed old classic series right in a way that the original, not that they couldn't do, but in a way that just had never been done. Like a good example of an attempt like current Ghost in the Shell that I think failed, although got better over time. I think if you look at Sailor Moon Crystal is clearly trying to be as faithful to the manga as possible, but it is so stubborn at keeping any of the personality that made original 1990s Sailor Moon as memorable, which is why you still see 90s Sailor Moon anime referenced way more than Crystal ever is. And it's just because of that personality is just not there. I don't know if it's the studio, I don't know if it's the way they adapted the story, but like do you kind of know what I mean? Especially if like you can't just do it 1-to-1 and expect to be like, oh well, you animated the manga, so now it's better. It's like a much more nuanced discussion, similar, and it's not always going to be as black and white. I think a lot of people when they think of something like this, they might think of Full Metal Alchemist, where it's like you're like
Hmm.
Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood are such an interesting example because of the realities of those situations. That's why, like honestly going back to Studio Wit, dude, I cannot tell you enough. I would be so excited and so shitting myself at the same time for anyone who is working on One Piece at Studio Wit. Because you gotta imagine every episode that's gonna drop of that show is gonna be scrutinized to hell.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Because I'll say this by the way, because we're not gonna get into spoilers, but I've not talked to you about this in a while. Are you current for the anime for One Piece?
I mean, I haven't watched anything with Elbath, but I have read it.
Okay, all right. So
I'm ahead of the anime.
they recently just showed the scene of Loki getting out of his prison. And it was like a 2 minute
Hmm.
clip going around, and people were like, I bet this was like one page for 2 minutes of animation. And I'm like, dude, I'm saying this primarily as a manga first reader for One Piece. Like, dude, I do not want to just see screenshots on slideshow mode for One Piece. Like, I get it, there are One Piece pace, like, and One Piece has definitely had pace problems, but I think it is very, at least for me, I would say One Piece has not had pacing problems since the final arc of Wano. I think they have had a much better way at getting rid of pacing issues. Obviously, with them now finally going in a seasonal route, it makes a lot more sense. But it's like, dude, I'm not going to be the kind of person who complains about something looking cinematic and being like, It would be like watching the Odyssey and be like, come on, guys, did we really need to stay in the cave for 2 days? It's like, no, dude, like fucking give them like give it room to breathe. I feel like this is the kind of complaint someone who watches YouTube videos at 1.5 speed would have. Like, like people are just afraid to like let a moment breathe.
No, this is the complaint of someone who doesn't actually watch or really even read One Piece, and they just like see these clips from these moments that like they're like, "Oh, this was only X thing long in the manga." And it's like, "Okay, but like just because it was only that long in the manga doesn't mean that it, would work just as well. Like something that like in the manga you would have read it in the span of like 2 seconds, but then like that's not going to work out the same in an anime. Uh, something like something like Loki getting out is a huge deal, so making that more cinematic makes sense. But yeah, it is long. It is long. And hey, maybe it is a little too drawn out. I don't know. I haven't actually seen it, but like it doesn't one I genuinely honestly I do kind of agree. I thought Whole Cake was paced very Whole Cake. Why did I say Whole Cake? Egghead. I thought Egghead was paced very well. Um, all things considered. Um, but I think a lot of it is people just looking at these isolated clips and then just directly comparing them to the manga and being like, okay, well, again, the manga, it's a different medium, so things are going to go by quicker or whatever. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just nitpicking and people wanting to hate on it.
It's like no matter how many times I've ever seen the naysayers. And again, opinion, there's no right or wrong opinions. I will say, no matter how many times I ever see people showing, especially in that first episode they did it, whenever you see people reuse that video of Looney Tunes sound effects over that Gear 5 reveal fight, I will never not get tired of that Discord because I thought that was so funny. I've been like, dude, if you nothing says to like nothing like is a self-report more than complaining that One Piece is like having the goofiest fight sound effects of all time. Like to the point where
Goofy
it's
boing boing.
like exactly. It's like, dude, the funniest thing with it was just like especially be like, dude, like there's a reason people hyped up that reveal as much as it was like that fight was like a Super Saiyan 4 reveal in a way that like you're just not going to get for a number of years to the point where it's like outside of a couple diehards, like the moments are hype in the moment, but like very few people, especially back in the day, even though One Piece was way, way, way less popular in the beginning, going back to Whole Cake, like you look at the reveal of Snake Man, like that's an insane moment for the story. No one was like, "Oh my god, did you see the animation on Snake Man?" Like it wasn't like holy shit. Like there wasn't no one thought that they had like reinvented the wheel with Snake Man the way that like Gear 5 did. Like that
Mhm.
was like a moment in a way that no other form had even achieved at that point. Even though I think all of Luffy's forms have always been handled really interestingly, it's like, dude, there's a reason you've never met someone who's like, "Oh, Mac, Gear 3's where it's at. I love I love that big arm. I love that one big arm."
The big arm, big arm. I mean, hey, Gear 3, when it first happened, was a huge
For
deal, but
sure.
it wasn't like a big, it was not like a big reinvention or anything remotely
They
akin
were they
to
were
a
never
Super Saiyan
they
moment.
yeah, they were never meant to be the Super Saiyan moment until that moment. Ironically, I don't know if you would agree with this, and I'll get off the One Piece tangent afterward. I would say the first I think the way, at least the way Oda or even Toei would really say it, I think you look at the first usage of Conqueror's Hockey, that's a closer comparison to something like going Super Saiyan than Gear 2 through 4
Hmm.
ever was.
Yeah, I agree.
Mac, please take a moment of silence to yourself, maybe pray tonight. Um, that the generational run that One Piece is on does not stop anytime soon. Pray that the Studio Wit series does not blow, that season 3 of the live action comes out quickly next year, and that we never get to the final arc in the manga, and that for the rest of my life I just see news stories that says, did you know that 10 years ago Oda said that the series was ending in 4 years?
Yeah, I would. That would be. That would be especially funny because it's more and more where the story is, where it's like, how much longer can you keep this going? We are literally one step away. We are on the penultimate island right now. Like how much longer can you keep this going? And the only reason he could keep it going for longer is if the final arc is just insanely long.
It Man, it's wild. I'm here for the journey. Where it's so funny to think that next year will be the 30th anniversary, and legitimately, gun to my head, I still wouldn't doubt it if we had another 10 years in us.
Maybe. I'm just excited for Two Piece starring Goofy.
Boruto's son, Boofy. So,
Boofy's dad, Luffy.
so back to news Mac may or may not have known about. Mac, I know you're not as much of a cardboard lover as I am. We've got some Persona related trading card news and Atlas related card news. So at Anime Expo, very out of left field, like extremely out of left field, Weiss Schwartz, who their whole thing is they do a lot of collaborations with like either IP like anime or video games. They are doing a Metaphor Refantasio set next year, which will be like a booster box as well as like a trial deck, and like they're doing like a whole big ass thing with it, which I just think is super cool. Just like in the thing of, I am very aware that Metaphor, at least for the time being, is nowhere close to being the next Persona, but I'm always pleasantly surprised when there's more stuff kind of coming out for it, especially just because there's not really been a big push since the game's been out. So like the fact that we're getting the concert this year, the fact that there's still more things coming out every now and then, and none of it is video game related. Um, I take it as a win. I'm excited for it. I love collecting cards. I will definitely try to collect this full set, assuming nothing is horrifically bad. Although, thankfully, Weiss Schwartz, it's not like Pokemon. No one's getting into scalper fights with Weiss Schwartz cards. The other wild one is, and this one I know you definitely do not follow, Bushiro, who publishes around the world, Weiss Schwartz, they have announced two things. Card Fight Vanguard, which is one of their games, was doing a Persona 30th set of just saying we're going to do a card series and it's going to be all things Persona's 30th anniversary. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that's cool. A little weird it's not Weiss Schwartz, because Weiss Schwartz in the past has already done Persona 3, 4, Arena, Persona Q, Persona 5, and Persona 3 Reload. But no, Card Fight Vanguard is getting it instead. And everyone's like, okay, well, whatever, that's weird, but we'll do it. It doesn't matter. And then a month later, they just announced, actually, we're also doing Persona 30th in our other card game, which you would assume will have different art, but it's by the same licensor and distributor for Weiss Schwartz. They're like, no. Weiss Schwartz is also getting Persona 30th anniversary stuff. And I just need you to know, Mac, it's moments like this that you need to tell yourself, thank God I don't give a shit about collecting cards.
Yeah, yeah. I really, it's the sort of thing where that all that stuff just passed me by.
You're like, I'm here for the
I did
Call of
not.
Duty mobile news. I'm here to talk to you about what does Joker look like in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare engine.
Dude, I want to know what Morgana looks like in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare engine.
See, the thing I thought you were going to say is you're excited to you're excited to talk about what about Morgana and Nikke, the butt jiggling shooter game from Shift Up.
That too. That too. I would also like to see Morgana and Nikke. I want to see his head jiggle.
Oh, that would actually be funny. We still don't know who's going to be in that collab. I'm like so certain it's either going to be Aegis or all boys. Like my gut just tells me there's no way we're just going to have underaged like we're not going to have underaged Persona girls in it. But I've been wrong before. Although
I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, aren't in Nikkei? Didn't they? I know they did Chainsaw Man, and then they got Power in there. Power's technically underage.
Fuck, you're right. Although Power almost gets like she looks older past, but you're not wrong. Power definitely is underage.
Didn't and then no, I think they also had Kobani, but Kobani is over. She's
Yeah,
she's of
it was
age.
Kobani, Makima, and Power. I don't think because it wasn't for the movie, so Reze wasn't in it either. The Reze would be real fucked up to have a Nikkei.
Hmm.
Did you see that someone had done like that screenshot from the end of the Reze arc where it's Makima being surrounded by all the rats and someone's like, "Man, you know that bitch must stink." It's like
No,
someone
seriously.
it's a thing because it's like everyone always jokes about it with Power, but it's like, no, man, you gotta imagine Makima's probably got some stank on her.
Probably after the rats.
So speaking of underage girls, this is another one. You probably saw the trailer, but I wonder if you followed much of the conversation that kind of came out after it. Did you see the Rise trailer, the one that like fully showed off Rise?
Uh, for what?
Revival.
Oh my God, I was thinking Reze.
Is
I
that
was
the
thinking you were still
collab?
talking about Reze.
I mean, it's close. They're spelled similar, but no. So either at or the week of Anime Expo, they had a full trailer come out for
Yes, I
for,
did see this.
for Rise.
I did see
So,
this.
so the weird one, I was curious about how you felt about this. Slash, this kind of goes into what will change, what won't with it. What did you think of the fact that the Western trailer specifically did not have her swimsuit commercial, but in the Japanese version, it's the first thing you see. Like the very first shot in the commercial is just Rise in the swimsuit commercial. Because there were a lot of people, I think, which is funny because we've never had any reason to think that anything's going to be left out drastically different from Persona 4 Revival. And this conversation kind of came up with the Yosuke stuff too, but a lot of it is such like blowing smoke up someone's ass that's not even there, where it's like, guys, like not even taking the translation part out of it with it. It's like I think people just have such doomer mentality about a game getting remade that if it's not one to one, it's ruined. But at the same time, I don't know why anyone would look at something like this, especially post P5, post Catherine, post Persona 3 Reload, like, and think, oh well, they're gonna censor it. There's not gonna be any more gay stuff. There's not gonna be any more like idol stuff. There's not going to be any more swimsuits or whatever, and we're freaking out about it. And it's like I think they're just going to do that thing that they always do, where they never market it, but it's still there. Like the game in the West will still 100% be one to one with the Japanese is.
No, I don't think there's gonna be any omissions or cuts or anything. I think it'll be there. I think a lot of I will say I think the swimsuit thing is a purposeful choice to not include in the Western marketing. And I think you could critique that because the whole deal with the commercial is like it is actually like very relevant and important to Rise. I almost said Reze. It's a very important to Rise's story, and it's very relevant, and it feels justified to include it. But not leaving it out of the marketing. That's one thing that you can critique it. Anyone who says that the fact that it's not in the marketing means that this is going to be this remake and it's going to be localized, it's going to be broken, it's going to be woke, and any of that. I think those people are stupid. I think it'll be one to one, no, like little to no changes. It'll be there. It'll be the first thing you see when you boot it up.
I'm just imagining if they removed it, they replaced all horny and controversial scenes from Persona 4 with just John Bernthal telling you what happened. Let me tell you something. Let
That'd
me
be pretty.
let,
That'd
let
be
me tell you
pretty
let me
rad.
tell you about the underlying story of having Reese being in a swimsuit commercial.
That would be rad.
Oh my god. So yeah, I will say I think there are still plenty more landmines for this game to try and tiptoe over. I don't think that'll be perfect, but I think I don't know. At the same time, like obviously Kanji and especially Naoto are going to be interesting to see what they decide to show, let alone what they don't show. I think especially it's like honestly, like they've got so many like tame scenes by comparison, like to the point where it's like honestly, like you could probably just not even show anything for them because they're pretty late in the game. Kanji less so, but Naoto definitely is really late game. Um, for a lot of the like more divisive stuff in their story, to the point where I would be like, yeah, dude, like honestly, you don't have to show any of it ahead of time, and then at the very least, if people want to form an opinion, the whole game will be out, and there will be complete context. Versus, like, look at how much people got all up in a fucking tizzy when they thought, "Uh-oh, Atlas is making Yosuke less homophobic." It's like people were legitimately ready to go throw hands because they thought the director said, "We made him a little less anti-gay," which is, by the way, not what he said.
No, no. Honestly, my thought process is no. Keep them homophobic. Just add back in the gay romance. Add that back in, and then the homophobia will be a lot more. It would work a lot
The
better.
ultimate character
Um,
progression.
no, seriously, seriously. But yeah, no. People freak out. They freak out at like the most minor of things. That like, and they'll gaslight themselves, and they'll trick themselves into believing that this is gonna be the case just based off of their own like form of like hysteria.
I will say, especially because I'd be kind of curious what you think about this with it. Of for you, and this kind of goes back more into the marketing in general with it, especially as someone who has not played through it completely. Do you worry about them just doing the thing that Atlas does with I would say 9 out of 10 of their games and just never knowing when to shut the fuck up and stop showing shit? Cuz like I think that they always do such a great job of showing off their games, but like they definitely do they definitely have foot and mouth syndrome when it comes to just the constant promoting before the game comes out. That it's like, man, I really like how much news we've been getting about this game, but dude, fucking February is still so far, and I'd really like it if you stopped fucking showing shit all the time.
No, I totally get that. I feel like there is an argument to be made that the fact that it is a remake, so it feels more justified to show things, as opposed to like a brand new game. Um, because people are going to want to see more of like, okay, well, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And they're going to want to get more of an idea. And I think you can show that off without showing too much, but there's still a very real possibility they really could just screw it all up, uh, show way too much, and dear God, I want every game to cut this out. I hate that this is the trend now. I want them to stop putting out a launch trailer that just
Oh
spoils
my god.
60% of the game.
Yeah. Man, let me tell you,
Like,
especially as a Hideo Kojima fan, no burn is worse than knowing that whatever the launch trailer or whatever is called the final trailer is just an immediate do not watch until it's done. Like they are always a fucking spoiler landmine.
no, seriously. Seriously, just they need to stop spoiling these games, but like not even just before they come out, but like the day they come out, because they're launch trailers. This is just a trend that I hate.
Yeah, it's really weird too, because like I feel like, especially people like you and I who like follow the discourse with it a lot, whether it be a lot more hardcore or casual, I have never heard of someone who was not going to buy a game, and then they said, "Oh my god, dude, when I saw this spoiler in this trailer, I knew I had to buy it."
God, yeah. No, it's unnecessary. It is unnecessary.
I will
Every video game company needs to stop it. Cut
I
it out.
will say, dude, I know it's not a popular opinion. I am loving how little we have seen of GTA 6. Like the fact that we know that there is no way that game's getting delayed, and like the fact that they had the cojones to say we are going to tease our pre-order date with just showing you the box art. And then everyone thought, oh, okay, well, clearly, it's been years. Clearly, there's going to be a new GTA 6 trailer when pre-orders drop. No, still nothing. Like,
No.
dude, we have, let's see, August, September. We're less than 5 months away from GTA 6, and like honestly, I'm actually like I almost would like respect it more. Imagine if Take Two just said, you know what, we're gonna have billboards, we're gonna have little like posters or like social media posts like reminding you about it, but there will be no gameplay trailer. There will be no new story trailer. There will just be re-edited trailers from the last couple years shown on TV, but nothing else new will be shown until the game is out. Like what a
Honestly,
big dick move that would be.
it reminds me of Avengers Endgame, in which the trailers showed you stuff, but not only was like half of everything in there lying, but there was no context, so it's like you don't understand anything that's happening, even if you're seeing it. It reminds me of that, and it's like very few properties in any medium can justify something like that.
And and it's not to say that we don't want trailers. Like I love trailers. I love getting hyped for things. I love being anticipated for things, but like dude, there's such a fine line between like you think of some of like the best trailers of all time, whether it be for games, whether it be CG, whether it be for movies or shows, and it's like dude, it's so easy to show and not tell when it comes to trailers, which is why like I think especially a lot of these launch trailers or a lot of these reveal trailers that just spoil way too much stuff. It's like it wasn't even for a good trailer. Like that's the worst part. It's like you've like these are some of the worst trailers. Like they are the most in terms of spoilers and they are the least creative in terms of everything you show.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Can you think of any like recent offenders? Like the last big one I remember being like, I think movies is still really bad about this. Like it kind of comes and goes with movies, but like I think games, I can't really recall the last like really big offender outside of maybe like Death Stranding 2 had a really bad one, although that one I knew to avoid, and then like Kingdom Hearts 3 had an egregiously bad launch trailer.
Hmm. Those in particular, I think the last one I can remember was Death Stranding 2, which I never even saw because I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm like, outside of like maybe the first couple of trailers, I'm good. I don't really want to see more. I'm
The
good.
launch trailer for OD will just be the last 7 minutes of Hunter Schafer, just a full cut, no, no transitions. It's just the last 7 minutes of Hunter Schafer.
No, no, the launch trailer should just be Sophia Lillis screaming again.
What a trailer, dude! Dude, by the way, the wildest thing. I hope she's lying. Hunter Schafer was asked about OD recently. She was like, "Oh yeah, we were still filming it recently," and I was like, "No." I'm like, I hope in your mind, recently means 2 years ago. I'm like, please tell me that game is not that far off.
Well, you want to know a little something about Hunter Schafer?
Yes, please.
I went to high school with her.
No
I'm not even
shot.
kidding.
Really?
Yes, and it was the sort of thing where it's like, why the hell would I know I was going to high school with Hunter Schafer? The reason I know this is because my friend's ex-girlfriend, uh, she hung out with Hunter in high school, and my friend met Hunter back in high school. And yeah, I just went to high school with Hunter Schafer. And why would
Generational
I know?
fumble.
Why would I care?
Generational
Hunter
fumble
Schafer
right
wasn't
there.
Hunter Schafer yet.
You should have known.
Yeah, no,
You should
seriously.
have known, Matt. Go back to the future, fix yourself, find a way to get into the Hunter Schafer circle, and totally different life, butterfly effect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God. What was another one I was gonna say? Man, that's so wild. Gotta bust those yearbooks out. Gonna need the. How's that? How have you never just like posted about that one day? Be like, like that's like I had a friend once who was like the closest I have to the story. I had a friend who was like, I I grew up going to the same trampoline house as Chris Evans. That's like the closest I've ever known someone to do one of that. Like they grew up in the same neighborhood as Chris Evans and they went to the same kid's house to jump on his trampoline. Like that's it.
No, it's always just those little things of like you just don't know where people are gonna go. You just don't know where people are gonna go.
That is so funny. Um let's see though. I think we're almost out of all the good news before we start pissing and shitting ourselves. I'm trying to see if there's anything else with it. So let's see. We talked card stuff. We talked trailers. We talked animation studios. Um, really random aside. By the way, I should hopefully have it like next week after finally getting my hands on the PS4 Steelbook for Rider Remastered. I need you to know it awakened something in me where I was like, oh man, I wasn't happy that I didn't have it before the Rider Remastered Steelbook, but man, it really sucks when as soon as I owned one of them, I went, ah damn, I need now I need the Switch one. I don't actually need it, but man, I need one. I will say though, by like, because I've been trying to like tell people like, hey, I really don't think people realize how terrible Rhino Remastered sold through limited run last year. I like if you had to, I don't know, like I don't know how low people's expectations were for how few they sold, but if you haven't watched that video I did, they sold less than 2,000 copies all in all for PS4, PS5, Switch 1, Switch 2, Xbox, and PC. Like they sold not even 2,000 copies of that all said and done. And when I got my PS4 copy, I was looking at it for a friend because a friend was like, "Oh, well, if you see any copies on eBay, let me know." And like I looked on eBay, I looked at sold listings, I looked at a bunch of different online marketplaces and stuff. I shit you not, there are less than 10 listings on eBay. And like
Ooh.
other like Macari, Facebook Marketplace, it's like a couple people have some Switch copies, a PS5 copy. Like PS5 and Switch seem to be like the most popular system that was bought for. But I just thought it was like so funny. But I was like, dude, it's like as a society, like, or at least like, I don't know if it was the collective we don't give a fuck about Rhino or just people saying we don't want to support limited run. I just could not believe like not even the resellers wanted to touch this thing. It was insane to me. Like, do you know anyone who got that besides me?
No, no.
You know what the sad thing is? You could probably get it for MSRP. I bet you if you went to their store, I bet you they still have some in stock.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I could go tomorrow.
Max, like, I can think of 250 things better to do than spending that money.
Yeah, like working and making money.
I will say, dude, that's the funniest thing of like these people who the ones that are listed, like people are trying to sell them for like $500. I'm like, dude, if they didn't want it for $250, I guarantee you they don't want to pay $500 for a ride.
No, no.
Well, jokes aside, we now get to go to the shit news of the week, which is PlayStation.
Year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's only going to get worse as it keeps going. Every day is bad for other reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation earlier this month, everyone's already heard about this. This is old hat, so we're not going to get too into the weeds with it. But I wanted to have a fellow physical glazer such as myself on the show to kind of talk about the ramifications personally and for Atlas as a whole for PlayStation's decision in 2028. PlayStation will no longer, as of the time of this recording, everyone hopes it'll get reversed, but I'm not hold my breath. PlayStation will be getting rid of physical media not only for no PS6 games. There will be no more PS4 games, PS3 games. Well, I mean, PS3 you couldn't do for a while, but you could, as of right now, you can still make physical PS4 and physical PS5 games. They are going to shut down that entire operation process in the beginning year of 2028. And on top of that, they are also shutting down for good this time, most likely, the PlayStation Vita store and the PlayStation 3 store. Where you live, it's going to differ. The really weird one, like if you're in Mexico, it's like shutting down in less than a month. But like for Japan, Europe, and America, it'll be 2027. So there's different places to kind of check. I think it's just probably in terms of like market spending. But bad news followed by bad news followed by a lot of fucking pissed off people and very little to kind of show for it. To my knowledge, because I know I have not, and I'm assuming your reason's the same as mine. I've wanted to make a video talking about this, but at the same time, it's like, I, not that I feel like I don't have something unique to say. It's just like I feel like if I made a video talking about this news, I feel like it's the same equivalent of me just being like, wet socks suck. I hate when my socks get wet. It's like, I don't even know a single person who's not mad at this news. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's the most cut and dry. Screw this. This is evil. Fuck Sony. Just like everything is awful. How dare they? They deserve to have every single one of their comments, every single one of their like reply sections on every single tweet to just be nonstop. How dare you reverse the decision? It's so cut and dry. It's like there really is nothing new that could be added. There's nothing new that could really be added. But it's just like, God, like screw them for this. This is terrible. This is awful.
Now, before we kind of get into the minutia with it, like I said, I want to kind of talk about like from a personal side with it, because I know you're a big physical collector, myself included, but I don't know where the kind of breakdown is for you. So like for me, and I'll just talk of physical games at the moment, but like for me, I own an Xbox, I own a Switch 2, and a PS5 and a PS4, and my thing has always been, if I'm going full crazy set weirdo Spencer mode, I'm going to buy one version of every game on every system, which is a very rare thing I do, but usually is only referred to for like either the Atlas stuff eventually when things get really cheap, or for like the weirdo things. Like I think like Digimon I own on like every system, because it's like I think the idea of a Digimon game on Xbox is funny to me because I'm fucked up like that. But like I don't just buy every game I love, or even half or three-fourths. I would say one out of every 100 games is a game that I'll do that with, where I'm like, I'm going to buy it on PS4, PS5, Switch 1, blah, blah, blah. But like, a lot of the way that my normal collecting expenditure has been is whatever my main system is where I want to play this, especially if it's third party. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, that's PlayStation 5. I want to play it physically or buy it physically on PlayStation. And if I can't, or if it's not on PlayStation, it then goes Switch 2, Xbox, and then if it's PC and mobile, I'll just fucking seppuku myself, I guess. But that's just kind of been my thing of like, I'm a PlayStation guy first, I'm a Nintendo collector second, and I am someone who is able to play on Xbox. It's like, I've got nothing against my Xbox. I love my Series X. Whenever I've played it, I always have a good time. It's just not my first or second choice. But like, as a collector right now, it's that thing where it's like, man, not only does this fucking suck for me, it's like, I'm now looking at everything that's coming out physically like a ticking time bomb. We were talking about this earlier with Vita and PS3, which like we'll get to later, but like even just for new shit that's coming out, like I'm now looking at every game that I'm looking forward to and just being like, where will I play this? Am I going to play this on PS5? Is this only going to be physical available on Nintendo Switch? Will I have to fucking be cursing at the moon because I'm like I legitimately need people to realize that if we live in a world where the only place I can physically buy a copy of Persona 6 is fucking a game key card on Switch 2, I don't want to live in that world. Like, I don't want to live in that fucking
Yeah,
world.
no,
But it looks
no.
increasingly like that's a thing that could fucking happen. And, like, I think as someone who wants to play games, an all digital future would never stop me from wanting to play games. A great example of this, and it might make me sound like a hypocrite, but again, it's a very nuanced kind of thing with it. I thought GTA 6 not launching with the disc sucked, but I understood why they were doing it. Of like, I'm sure that when that gets a physical, like, there's no way by the end 20, like, by the time 2028 gets here, I guarantee that there will be a last minute physical version of GTA 6, because that's just going to be Take Two's way of getting people like me to buy the game a second or third time. But like, at launch, I realize what a Herculean effort that's going to be, and is just asking for the game to get leaked. So, like, with something like GTA 6, I actually didn't, like, I was annoyed by it being digital only, but, like, as fucked up as it is to say, especially as someone, like I said, who doesn't like game key cards, I at least kind of appreciate the fact that I can still go to a store. I've already pre-ordered. Like, I went to GameStop. I put $5 down for a copy of GTA 6 that is just a code in a box. But you know what? It's still a box. That is a game I've been waiting 13 plus years for. There was no world, even if there wasn't an empty box version, like, there was no way I was not playing GTA 6 the second it comes out. Like, that's just not a game I would have been like stubborn about. Whereas, like, you look at other games like Hades 2 that I haven't played, I'm like, yeah, I'll just pick that up when it comes out on PS5 physically, if it ever does, or whatever. Like, there's different kind of things that I've let my collection dictate what I am and am not playing. But at the same time, it's just like, I can understand it for certain edge cases, but it's like, dude, it it's gonna be so weird if it's like, and I legitimately think that there's probably a good chance that this happens, whether it be game keycard or not, where it's like, man, I wonder what'll happen in the world where we are still getting PS5 and PS6 games, because you got to imagine that they will like, multi-platform stuff will be like Xbox Helix, PS6, and Switch 2. And I'm like, am I going to be playing these on Switch 2 even if I mean, at the moment, I guess, and this goes into a whole other conversation with like PS6, is like, I am a huge PlayStation fanboy. I have owned every PlayStation console ever. Yes, ever. And the only one I have ever not bought is the PS5 Pro, because when I saw the PS5 Pro get announced, I said, Mark Cerny, you could give me the best rim job in the world, and I would still not want the PS5 Pro. And that thing's been on the market for over almost 3 years, and it's still the case. Like, fucking no one needs a PS5 Pro. And my feelings on that are going to be amplified, I think, same with everyone else. When the PS6 gets announced, like, dude, the PS6 better come with a fucking, like, fleshlight that never quits. Like, I can't think of a thing that's going to be a harder sell than a PS6 in this economy. You know what I mean? And so it almost makes that thing where it's like, yeah, dude, like, right now, even if it was out like this year and price wasn't going to be fucking $1,000, it's like, why would you ever want and or even justify a PS6? I can't even justify a PS5 Pro. The PS5 on itself is still not even just, oh, it's good enough. It's like, no, the PS5 runs everything perfectly fine. There are, like, I would say, less than 5 games that people will tell you you need to play on a PS5 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
But that,
Yeah, no, I've talked about this with my roommate. There's no way where we currently are with just the way the economy is with AI and just everything. Uh, but also just the fact that this generation has just been very, frankly, disappointing in the sense that, like, we are 6 years into this generation. We are coming up on the point where it's like, okay, maybe we should start, hearing murmurs about the next consoles. And it's like, if you put out a new console, anytime soon, no one's going to buy it because it feels like we haven't even gotten to the halfway point of this generation in terms of output.
Now,
Like Sony has not put out half of what they put out by the halfway point of the PS4 and the PS3 and the PS2.
Now, that's the one thing where I align with a lot of like sentiment out there in terms of like disappointment with the current state leading into PSX. I will say I definitely am someone who disagrees with that. The PS5 generation has been disappointing. PS5 I've had so much fun with in terms of raw games. I think if you want to say from a creative standpoint of Sony first party exclusives only, I would 100% agree with you. But even then, to act like I hate nothing more than when people are talking about the PS5 generation and they're like, "There's not even 10 exclusives. Like you've got Demon Souls, a bunch of shitty indie games, and like a bunch of other stuff with it." It's like, yo, dude, it's like no one has been buying a system for exclusives since the PS4 generation, and even then, the exclusives that were on PS4 were very plentiful, but that was at such a different time of PC gaming in 2013 is such a different beast versus what it was now. Even back then, Xbox was still doing console exclusives at that time, but like I look at even the first party output from Sony and I'm like, there are still so many great games that they put out. Like, listen, they had a lot of fucking studio fumbles for sure. Like, I think the way that they wasted Blue Point is criminal to the upteenth degree. They've been letting Naughty Dog shit themselves repeatedly, wasting time on a lot of very long and expensive sequels that you either like something like a God of War Ragnarok. Like I think like there's a lot of interesting discussions to be had of like I think you look at stuff like Horizon 2 and God of War and even something like a Ghost of Yotei and are like, okay, this makes sense for something to have launched in the first 4 to 5 years of this console. But then you get to other stuff where ironically like you look at something like God of War Laufey and it's like, dude, why the like is Santa Monica like banned from making things that aren't God of War? Like it's so weird. It's like even like other like the way that these studios just get locked down is insane. Like think about it. Santa Monica can't make anything that's not God of War. Their next three projects are these things. God of War Laufey, whatever is after God of War Laufey that is God of War related that they announced at Comic-Con, and then they're remaking all the original PS2 and PS3 games trilogy. Like that's just okay, so for the next 10 years Santa Monica is locked to this. And then like you look at something like why am I forgetting their name? Insomniac. I love Insomniac, but like dude, like especially once that roadmap leaked from the Wolverine thing with it, it's like dude, they're like outside of every maybe once every 10 years you're going to get a Ratchet and Clank game. It's just a Marvel factory. And I think in a world where if every game that they had released was as good as Spider-Man and Miles Morales, that'd be one thing. But I think especially in a world where not like Marvel fatigue is the end of the world, but I'm thinking like, man, I don't know, because we haven't talked about this with you with it. Like, I think it's so interesting that you look at something like Marvel Tokon and Wolverine, and I kid you not, I know more people who are excited about Tokon than Wolverine, which I feel like it should be the opposite. You know what I mean?
Wolverine has felt very, as it's getting closer and closer, it, it it's felt very tepid, the excitement for it, as well as just like the game itself. It looks like it'll be cool, looks like it'll be a lot of fun, but it's the sort of thing where it's like I think a number of people start to like with Spider-Man 2 in particular, people just start to notice a lot of problems with particularly how Insomniac has kind of been handling um the Marvel games, and I mean at that point Spider-Man games. But now it's like we're starting to see some of these things kind of start to crop up. Like I'm gonna be real, Wolverine, his face looks way too clean.
Oh,
He looks way too
I
clean. He
do
looks a little too
when
perfect.
that like trailer came out with his mask off, I just go back to that Red Letter Media video. What's wrong with your face? Put that fucking mask
No,
back
oh my
on. What's
god.
wrong with your face?
To me, it's almost like the opposite, where it's like, I mean, obviously put the mask back on, but it's like, what's wrong with your face? You look too good.
Yes, it's like, well,
You look
I
too
think that's
good.
more of a modern day Marvel problem of like I think when photorealistic Marvel won't allow them to make a realistic Wolverine. And when I mean realistic, I mean short, 4'3", ugly Wolverine, hairy, ugly Wolverine. Like they
Stinky.
want everything to be, yeah, stinky too. Like they want every Wolverine post X-Men in the 2000s to be Hugh Jackman. Which listen, everyone loves Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is a great Wolverine, but he is not the look of Wolverine. He is one look for Wolverine.
Exactly, exactly. It's it's just like people are excited, but they're not that excited. And I would not be surprised if the reviews come out and it ends up hitting on a lot of the same flaws that Spider-Man 2 had, particularly in its writing. I think as a game, it will still be really good, but I imagine in its writing, especially, it is going to come off too predictable for how Insomniac has kind of been handling it. And I feel like they need to have more Ratchet and Clanks to help break things up. I don't want to wait for 2030 to get a new Ratchet and Clank. I think they need to have these breaks in between. And I understand um there are different teams that are making these, but it's still just like, come on, don't just be the Marvel factory. Don't just be the Marvel factory.
Uh, Getting a little bit away from the Sony developer thing with it. I just like, man, there's not a good time to have announced this, but I think what sucks about it the most is they're gonna ultimately be right unless a miracle happens and they end up changing their mind. But like, we're I just feel like there's no way. Like, clearly the PS6 has no intention of having a physical version of any of their games. The rumor is the PS6 is going to be part handheld, part at home console, but like all PS6 plans aside, fuck the PS6. It's like, okay, hey, yeah, you're doing this as like a future proofing thing for that next generation. But everyone is currently telling you, whether you think the PS5 generation sucks ass or is the next best thing, like, love or hate the current generation we are in, the last thing people were saying was, you know what we need? Less physical games. Be like, no one was going to take
Hmm.
that and be like, because I think the thing that's been so funny about it has been not only is like, obviously the physical collectors pissed about this, but it's also then started up that thing of like, even digital only players are still pissed because you know what? It's not like they took something away and are saying, oh, but because of this, you will then have X, Y, and Z feature. These prices will now be this. It's like, no, actually, we're just making things more DRM abhorrent and going to possibly, I don't think like the doomer mentality of like, people like to like say that like without PS physical discs, like they're gonna all become like Nintendo, like they're never allowed. Like there's a lot of people who just kind of talk out their ass when it comes to this stuff. And like, again, not every person needs to be a fucking nerd like me and follow a lot of this stuff. But like, I'm always shocked when I'm hearing people talk about this stuff, and they're like, when PlayStation stops selling discs, they're never gonna go on discounts ever again. Target was the only reason they put games on sale. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like I've legitimately like listened to multiple shows, Mac, where people legitimately think Sony is pricing every game on the PlayStation Store themselves. Like they think Steam is the only place you can sell games at whatever price the developer wants it to be at. And it's like it is insane to me that like we've been in this digital storefront economy for over 20 years and people still have no idea how it works at all. And again, a lot of it is like behind the scenes baseball. Most people don't ever think about this, let alone why would they care about it. But it's like, I think we could be realistic about how shitty a situation's going to be while still getting the facts straight of like, you'll still have deals. You'll still be able to play your games. These things aren't going away. Like, you'll still have other reprints of things coming out with it. Like, there's a lot of shit that's going to suck, and there's a lot of things that are going to change. But like, I don't know how much you see it, but the thing with the whole Sony disc one is like, man, there's a lot of people who are just like, I'm gonna scream as loud as I can, and I don't care if half the things I'm saying are correct. But it's like, dude, if we have any hope of getting any attention, uh, to get them actually to change their mind, which I'm glad people are still in their comments. I'm glad people are still giving them shit on every post that they make with it. But it's just like, dude, like we've really all got to fucking like actually band together and do something with it. Like, I don't know if you saw there's like plan for like a blackout date in August, but I mean even that's not going to do anything. Like,
It's only for one. It's only for a week, which is stupid.
and it's a week
For a
where it's a
week.
week where nothing is coming out of consequence. Like, they're doing it like
A bo-
you want to do something on a day like that'll get fucking people to really talk. Obviously, they would never do this, but like to an extreme extent, do that with GTA. Have people unplug their PS5s on GTA week. That won't happen, but like that would get people talking. Do that with Wolverine. Do that with something like really, really substantial. Do that with a Call of Duty or whatever. But like, I think the blackout movement is a good idea. I think it's not being executed perfectly, but the problem is like there are so many millions of different people who play on PlayStation, let alone all the other systems, who were upset about this. That like it's such a widespread issue that affects so many people differently that it's gonna be hard for people just to be like, no, we won't take this, because it's like it it just really sucks because it's like, yes, physical buyers are a minority, but it's like the numbers that get thrown around a lot are all over the place and very in terms of their accuracy with it. But it's like, hey dude, at the end of the day, even if physical gamers are still 1/5 of people who buy all video games, think of all the small ass indie publishers, let alone developers, who still make a living on that extremely tiny margin. Not even just talking about the limited run games of the world, but all the other companies and things out there, that it's just like, man, it because it's not only telling you, hey, what you're doing, like the protesting is going to be futile. That sucks to hear. It's the thing even more of, not only is your protesting futile, it's everyone who is in this industry, or if you're someone like me who was like who wanted to be a part of that industry, it's also just saying, hey, there's no future here. Like, there's no future for collecting. There's no future for working in that industry. There's no hope of you trying to get into X, Y, and Z for PlayStation as a physical like distributor, publisher, developer, etc. To the point where it's like, man, that really sucks to hear. Let alone the fact that there's nothing short of a miracle that's going to change it, and it's like, man, that's so fucking depressing.
Mhm. Nah, I will say the fact that I think the fact that they are going out and every single post that PlayStation makes is just bombarded with hate and not talking about what the post is actually about. Uh, I think that is actually a good way of like protest, in the sense that it's going to screw up any attempt to gain like actual understanding and analytics towards these other projects, because if no one's actually talking about it, they just keep talking about the thing. Like, it is going to cause backlash. It is going to like that. They're going to be more than aware of it. They're going to be hearing it. They're going to hear it. They're going to know it's a thing. Um, but it needs to go further, and there needs to be real consequences. And ultimately, I do think digital only is unfortunately going to be the future at some point. Like, that's just a reality that we are heading towards. Um, but we don't have to go in there, uh, just willingly accept it. We can be like, no, fuck off. No, we're not going to just accept it. We're not just going to accept it. and there can be pushback. Um, I think my deal right now is I am going to get. I'm still going to buy PS5 games. I'm going to buy all of them physically, and then once there are no longer physical games, I'm not going to be buying PlayStation games anymore. I'm going to buy it on PC or I'm going to buy it on Switch too.
Yeah, I guess because I'm just so anti playing anything on PC. I'm definitely not one of those people, and a lot of people definitely did take that side with it of like they saw this news and were like, "All right, fuck you, I'm just gonna go play on Steam," because they're like, if I'm gonna be stuck on an all digital storefront, I'd rather be in a place that respects its players a lot more, which is clearly Steam. But like the
And you can also pirate the game.
Oh, I mean, not even that. Like, I mean, pirating new games is already fucking loser, poor baby behavior. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm always one of those people of like, I think nothing is lamer, and thankfully this is a lot less rare now that like Switch doesn't have like big exclusives. But like, dude, I don't know about you. I thought nothing was fucking cornier than being someone who would be like, "Hey, I'm playing the new Zelda game a week early because I fucking pirated it," and I'm like, "That's not fucking cool. That's just like fucking lame." Like, dude, the amount of people when we were reviewing SMT5 who were just like, "Just dump the ROM." Just fucking dump the ROM, man. Let us all fucking play it. It's like, dude, it's like fucking like it's not like it's fucking Mario Brothers. It's not like, oh, well, I can't buy Mario Brothers. I need to steal this game. I need to steal this game on PC or play it on Switch or whatever. Of like, it's one of those things where it's like, dude, there are only so many ways I can express to people how unsympathetic I am to people who pirate new shit. Obviously, old shit that you can't buy or is inaccessible, whether it be hardware, software, or both, is one thing. But it's like, yeah, the pirating thing for me is just a like it's such a mute point just because with new stuff my mentality has always been like, great, if there's a new, like, if you want to fucking play James Bond, you fucking save up the money and you buy James Bond. Otherwise, stop, like, don't fucking steal it.
It is. It's all so. Everything right now. This is just. We're in a weird point where we, again, I do think an all digital future is an inevitability, whether we like it or not. But this is the point in which we can. They're trying to make that now. And I think we are still at a time in which we can push back and get results.
I really hope so, man. Like, and I'm still gonna be there. I'm still gonna be pushing for it. I am so curious once the shut off actually happens, how I'm gonna feel. Because like even like currently buying stuff right now, it almost feels a little gross of like um buying stuff for PS5 right now. It's like, man, I'm buying it because this is where I want to play it, but it's like it just sucks that it's like I could buy every PS5 game that is released physically from now until the end of the line in 2028, and I know it's not going to make a difference. And again, it's not, you shouldn't be buying stuff because like you need to prove a point. Like, I think a lot of interesting points that came up were like people talking about, oh well, only like the average consumer only buys about like two games every year, like two full price games every year, is very pertinent. But again, at the same point, it's like physical games shouldn't be there as a way to always sell out, always be rare, always be there. I've always liked it as an option of having something to collect, having something that I can play, because I think once you start trying to go down these specific rabbit holes of physical needs to be here for trading in games, physical needs to be here for preservation, like there's a lot of different arguments that have so many different caveats that almost like dissuade the point. And this kind of goes back to my whole thing of like, man, it's so hard for everyone, even though everyone can agree that this is a shitty decision. It sucks that everyone's getting pulled in like five different directions. That like you have the used game people upset, you have the people who want to collect things upset, you have the people who want to have game preservation upset. But like we can't all just unify and have one big point that we're all trying to shove in Sony's face outside of we don't like this. And because they're in first place, because they have no, like, Xbox isn't gonna fucking stop them. Like, unless Asha Sharma came out tomorrow and said, like, like, dude, and I mean, I know people have brought this up before, but man, it would be so funny if, like if Asha Sharma literally at any point this year just comes up and says, "Oh, hey everybody, we're still gonna be doing physical games for like the next 10 years of everything." And like, especially from them being so far behind in last place, I think that's the only hope of really kicking Sony's ass in terms of this now makes them look bad. Because in a world where you're being
Hmm.
rational, Sony is only really looking at Steam as their competition. Xbox, they imagine, is probably going to do the same and is already in last place so much that it doesn't matter. And their biggest competitor right now is Steam, which is why you don't see PlayStation games. I mean, there's multiple reasons why PlayStation games aren't going to be coming to PC as much as they used to. But, like, Steam is their biggest competitor. Physical has never been an aspect for Steam that they've had to think about or be worried with. So it's like we're fighting a battle that Sony doesn't even think is like 1/100th of important. They're like, no, no, no. It's like we make all this money through our storefront. We are just trying to make a better digital ecosystem, and it'd be easier for us just to like cut to just toss the baby out with the bathwater. And they know as much as people are like you and me are going to complain, one of two things are going to happen. And I think you and me are a good edge case to talk about. Of you're going to say fuck it and go to Steam, and I'm going to say fuck it, and if it's a game that I have to play on PlayStation, I'm just going to say, well, I'm pissed off, but I'm still probably going to download and buy it because that's my only option.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, if it's digital, it's not going on play. If it's like a digital only thing, or it's like say we get offered like I get offered a review copy for something and it's digital, it's a digital download code. It's always a digital download code for the record. Um, but if that happens, I might choose. If it's a digital thing, it's going to Steam or to Switch. If if I get like a code offer or something, then maybe I'll consider PS5, just depending, because there was no way I wasn't going to get a digital code. It was always going to be a digital code. I don't know. I don't know. It's just I am very for me it's just very simple. I'm going to keep buying physical, and then the second there's no physical, no money, no buy. Bye bye.
I will be because I was talking a little bit about how Xbox has a chance to really kind of lean into it. I really and it's been interesting because this year I would say I don't know how much you would agree with this, but we've both had the Switch 2 since it's come out. I think this year has been undoubtedly a better year for just in general being a Switch 2 owner, not only just from the quality and the quantity of the games that we're getting this year versus its launch year, but like at the same time, the physical options have been getting a lot better. We are seeing so many more games coming out physically that I would say we went from like 70/30, like 70% game cards, 30% games physically on the cart, to now it's I think closer to 50/50, if not getting to like that 60/40 mark. But like, man, if all the publishers who support stuff on Nintendo Switch, and I wouldn't even honestly say all of them. I think if the big ones missing, like obviously Activision would never do this, but like, which is funny because they're owned by Microsoft, and Bethesda's been leaning into the whole physical thing with Indiana Jones and Elder Scrolls 4. But like, if you look at stuff like if every Capcom game, every Sega game, every Atlas game, every NIS game, if all of those, every Koei Tecmo, if all of those companies decided, okay, we are never releasing a game key card again, and every game we put out will be physical as much as we can possibly do it when it makes sense. Obviously, like you look at something like Final Fantasy 14, like yeah, we don't need that to be a physical game, but like for the examples that like make sense, like we shouldn't have fucking shit like what was it like what's the one that like literally just came out? Like we shouldn't have Final Fantasy X remastered on Switch 2 being a game key card. It's like that's physical on the fucking Vita. That's like that's physical on every system it's been on. It's like dude, like all these companies just don't care about how much it makes them look like fucking greedy losers. And like I thought it was so funny of like there was a quote going around this week of like Sega's president of America was talking about how they're still committed to physical games, to which I fucking like a lot of people were like clapping for it, but I'm like, dude, fucking act like you do then. I think Sega's been such fucking piss ants with physical the last couple years that it's like they fucking like wipe their dick after going to the bathroom and they act like we should say thank you. Sega has been awful as a physical publisher, at least in my opinion. Like I don't know how you feel about like Sega as an overall, but like I feel like Sega has gone from we are gonna do like great exclusives, collector's editions, distributing fun games to being like somehow worth fucking looking at a company right now that like it's like if the company like they are like do you remember when Sonic Mania came out and everyone was like Sonic Mania digital only? Yeah, that makes sense, but we are going to release a collector's edition that's like $200 and doesn't come with the game physically, but you get this big fucking giant like paperweight of a box. Like that's the kind of publisher Sega is right now. They'd rather release a bunch of fucking hollow empty bullshit than release something consistently physically all the time. Like for every one good move they make, like a Metaphor or a Persona 4 Reload, like you look at something like, no, I mean, literally every single game they've released on the Switch, besides for some fucking reason Sonic Racing, has to be a game keycard. Like, dude, look at how absolutely embarrassingly they handled Sonic Frontiers on Switch 2. Like that, like,
No, terrible.
that game was handled terribly in terms of marketing in general. But like, dude, it's like, okay, like this is the third-party Switch special. Release a game late. Release a game with no added content. Release a game with no DLC. Um, Not no DLC. So release a game with no upgrade path and release a game with no save data transfer. I'm like, great. It's like, all right, are you a third-party publisher releasing a game that's been on other platforms? Make it as unappetizing as possible and then put it on the Switch. That's what like these parties are doing. Whereas like the imagine the easy points that they could just be getting by if like the next game that came out would just be like, all right guys, Metaphor coming to Switch this holiday, physical on the cart. Sonic whatever the next like major Sonic thing's going to be, physical on the card. Next Yakuza game, physical on the card. It's like nah, too much work. No one cares. No one's going to buy it. No one. It's like they are treating every game like it's Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. It's like, yeah, did Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 need to be a physical release on the card? No, but that doesn't mean that you need to make every fucking game you release like it's a nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why I don't
No,
get things from
seriously.
Sega.
Yeah, no, this is why you just need to you need to not have this opinion, and you need to suck up,
I do.
suck up more.
But
Just suck up.
yeah, like I don't know, like especially for you as like a fellow person who like has a Switch. I guess here as a good comparison, if you had to guess without going into like hard numbers, how many physical PS5 games do you think you've bought this generation?
I have them to my right here.
Oh God, I'm ready. You're gonna be like 6.
6. No, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say somewhere between 20 and 30.
Okay. And I forget, did you have a PS5 at launch or when did you get it?
I got it like a year later.
Okay. So I've had my PS5 since launch. I know I definitely don't own more games on it than my PS4. In PS4, I've even waned down my physical collection a lot. Uh, just I don't have the full number with it, and it's not next to me. It's on the other side of this wall here. I would say safely, like rounding down, I'm at least at 100. I'm like at 100 physical PS5 games, if not more. And it's just because it's like, yeah, just because that's been like my third party machine thing with it. But like even then, like I look at the Nintendo Switch 2, a system I have played a lot in the last year, but I know for a fact I own less games for it because unless it is a first party Nintendo title or a special exception by other publishers, I've not been buying almost anything third party that's not Atlas on it. And I've just been buying games that are fully there physically. Like I loved picking up Splatoon, I loved picking up Star Fox, I loved picking up um there's some other ones I'm trying to think of that I'm trying to think of anything I own that's not Nintendo related. But like I think for me, I'm like I think I just hit 10 games for the Switch 2, like physically owning like 10 games. Like if you had to guess like how many like physical boxed Switch 2 games do you think you own?
Oh, again, I can look. They're right to my. They're to my right. 3.
Hold on. All right, I want to guess them. I want to guess them. I Star Fox, Donkey Kong, Hyrule Warriors.
Yes, yes, no.
Fuck. All right. Well, what are they?
Uh, so Donkey Kong, Star Fox, Kirby Air Riders.
Yo, fucking fraud alert, dude. You don't have Hyrule Warriors. Wait, you've played it, right? Or do you still not have Hyrule Warriors?
I do not have the new Hyrule
Oh my
Warriors.
God, dude.
I was not in the mood when it came
Dude, you
out.
should have told me. I've seen that game on like clearance for like $20 before. I need to like you need to play that game. That is I'm not even kidding you. That was the most played Switch game for me last year. That game fucking rocks. That game is so good. Um,
No, no, I'll definitely play it at some point.
but going back to my thing though about like, man, I really hope like not to be defeatist about it, but like, man, I really hope Xbox or Nintendo, or if not both, along with third parties, really lean into it. Just because it's been that thing where I'm like, man, I don't think I'd be sad if I had to become a digital only person when it comes to playing a majority of third party games out there. It would just be like I would almost like to just kind of have another home to know that I can reliably pick stuff up physically. Like I had something come up recently where Mac, do you go to Target very much? I don't know. You seem like a guy who never goes to Target or goes to Target a lot.
I mean, there is a Target in town, and I used to work there, but I don't really go there regularly.
Were you I'm trying to think, would Mac be the electronics section guy or would you be like order pickup?
Oh, you know what? I want you to guess
Pro-
because I don't think you'll be able to guess it.
I'm going to say then if you're saying that, I'm thinking either produce, clothes, or asset protection.
Nope.
What was it?
Card attendant.
No. Damn. The Mac lore is
I was in the
the Mac lore is
I was in the
exquisite
best shape.
today.
I was in the best shape of my life.
Damn, bro, we gotta get you back out of the suit, back into the carts, dude. You'll be ripped by the end of the summer, fucking sweltering over here. So
Oh my god, no. Please, no.
Target's been purging a lot of their video games throughout all the stores. They've been doing a lot of redesigns in the electronics section, and a lot of Switch, PlayStation, and Nintendo stuff has been going on clearance. And the Target over by me had a bunch of really good stuff, and there was one I was really pumped to pick up. You're gonna make fun of me for this, but it was at such a low price, and I've been wanting to buy it forever. I was happy. I finally picked up a copy of Lost Soulicide. You know that like Chinese Final Fantasy 15 action game.
Yes, I remember
I
that.
got that. I want
I
to.
remember being very excited for it, and then it got closer, and I was like, "Oh, this has
Yeah, I
problems."
played that demo and I was like, "Ooh, this is not good." Although they've updated that game a lot. Like I've been following that game for a while. It was like $15 for a brand new copy, and I was like, $15 all day, gladly. I'll gladly pick that up. Like that's such a perfect price to get that physically on clearance. But then like the other comparison for it, like and this is an even newer game, and a game that I probably would like even more. They had Dragon Quest VII reimagined physically on clearance for $17. I should have,
Oh wow.
but you know why I didn't buy it? It was only on Switch 2. And you know what's fucked up? I've
Mm,
played that on there, and I was holding it for so long, and I was like, dude, this is so fucked. Where I'm like, if this was any, if this was like any other like situation where it wasn't like a Switch, like if it was the Switch version, PS5, obviously whatever, I would have picked it up in a heartbeat. But it was just because it was a game key card. I was like, I even at clearance, I didn't want to support it. It's the same reason I still don't own a copy of Persona 3 Reload on Switch 2. I'm like, dude, I've turned that game down at like $25 before, and I'm just like, ugh, I just, I want to vote with my wallet, and I want Sega to know that they're fucking need to stop shitting these games out on Switch too, because they're not going to make any money from it. But it's like, man, like a moment like that really stung, because I was like, dude, I haven't picked it up yet, and I'm like, I love Dragon Quest 7. $17 is an insane deal for a game that came out 5 months ago, and I'm like, nope. I still couldn't do it. I still couldn't pull the trigger. Which, like, I don't know. Maybe that makes me sound like an idiot, but it was one of those things where I'm like, I have so many games already. I'm not making a point to be like a big full Switch 2 collector at this point. Although who knows, maybe in a few years, especially because that's the other one I've been thinking about going back to PS5 discs where I'm like, I think especially if nothing changes. Xbox is still doing their own thing, but like they're not leaning into it. Like let's say the next Xbox comes out and it doesn't have a disc drive or at least doesn't have new physical games releasing consistently, and Nintendo is still kind of doing this half full cart, half game key card. I feel like I'm going to become a full-time Switch collector, but it's just weird because like my gut just tells me that won't be the place where I play everything, you know? Like I don't know how much I would commit to it. Like do you think if you snapped your fingers and went to 2028, do you think you would just instantly start buying everything on Nintendo, or do you think it would just stop how much you buy things physical in general?
it would just cut down on what I'd buy physical. Because whether or not I play something on Switch, it's really just dependent on the game, and whether or not I feel like it's appropriate for it.
Has there been a game like I think like a good example would be like an Animal Crossing, a Tomodachi Life, or even like a Splatoon where I know people who are big physical people, but they're like, I want this game on my system at all times, or like I just buy it digital for that because these are games I want to just be able to jump into at a moment's notice. Like, do you have any games like that for your collection?
Um, I mean, honestly, I do. I mean, hell, Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection. I got uh I got those actually all of the Mega Man Legacy collections. I have them on Switch digitally because those are the kind of things where I'm like, yeah, I would like to just have all of that on there and just be able to boot into it whenever I want.
So going going a little bit more with the Sony thing, because like we said, I think there are still hopeful avenues for thinking things might change. A lot of it has me though thinking towards the future of other games kind of releasing. I thought it was also very poignant and very interesting that it's now kind of put this gun to a lot of games' heads. So like right now for you, what are three games in no particular order that you are now like, holy shit, I pray to God that these come out before physical disc get shut down.
Uh, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure.
If you want to think, I can tell you mine because I've got mine at least at the hip.
Yeah, go for it. Go
I'm
for
not
it.
gonna do P6 because we're gonna talk about that in general. But like my big one is number first and foremost has to be Kingdom Hearts 4. I feel like there's a chance, but also it's like, man, I just don't know. Like, I hope, please, Nomura, please, please, please. But then that's also one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, like ironically, that's actually kind of a fucked up one where I'm like, it would almost seem like blasphemy, but I'm like, I was so impressed by them recently where I'm like, it would feel weird, but especially if it was the only place to buy it physically, even if it was a game key card, I would say fuck it and still play it on Switch too. Like it would be weird, but like I probably would. Um, Intergalactic, for sure. That's another really really big one, just because I've been a Naughty Dog fan for so long, and I'm like, man, if the last physical Naughty Dog game that releases is the fucking Last of Us, Like, and I say this as a Last of Us fan. I own Mac. I'm part of the problem. I own The Last of Us Part One, The Last of Us Part Two, and I even bought that fucking limited edition release. That's both of them on like one box set. Like, I've bought The Last of Us at least like 5 times. Like, both 1 and
You have a
2. I do
problem.
have a problem, but I love those games. But, like, listen, I don't fucking want Naughty Dog's last game physically to be fucking The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. It rubs me the wrong way 100 times over. And then another final game would be. Oh, I have a lot, but we'll just use this as an example with it. Resident Evil. Like the next, like Resident Evil 10 being a game that I'm like, nope, you're fucked. Like, think about it. Like,
Yeah.
realistically, if things don't change, Code Veronica will be the last physical Resident Evil game on PlayStation, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my big ones, at least in terms of like ones where I'm like, man, like I don't like that. I don't like that alternative that's there with it. Like, are there any ones that kind of like stick out to you where you're like, oh, I would feel weird not having a physical version of this thing exist?
Nothing's really coming to mind, honestly. It's less so that it's less so that like I don't want these things physically, and more so it's just nothing's coming to mind.
I'll tell you
Um,
right now, Square Enix is so fucking lucky that Final Fantasy VII Remake is finishing next year. If that,
no,
can
seriously.
you imagine if it was like, oh, sorry guys, we missed it by a year. We can't we can't can we You're just gonna have, it'll be like that fucking like Simpsons box set where they went from like the normal boxes to like the one like box set for that season's like a is like comic book guy's head. It'd be like, all right, it went
Mm-hmm.
from Blu-ray, game key card.
Seriously. Oh my God.
So with that, then I guess, so let's just use the focal point of, for you at least. I want to split it up. What do you think is the chances that P4R is the last physical PlayStation Atlas game?
I think there will probably be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least one more Atlas game planned for next year. Um, what that is, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is another one in the pipeline. However, P6 is absolutely just not going to be physical.
I don't like that answer. I want to say
Yeah.
I want to say there's a chance. Like, I want to say, especially with like how long it's been in development, I want to be like, I think it could do it. Like, I think it'll be like right at the wire, but I think that assuming nothing catastrophic happens, they could get it in fall of 2027. It'd be insane, but I'm like, I think especially with this news, they know that there's a lot of people who will be fucking pissed if they don't get a physical version of P6.
I'm not fully certain that Atlas would want to put out two Persona games in the same year, even if one was at the beginning and one was at the end. I feel like they would want to give it at least a year in between.
See, I feel like in any world I would agree with you, but ever since we had the metaphor year, I'm like, I feel like anything's possible. Like, if we can have a year where we can get Unicorn Overlord, SMT5 Vengeance, Metaphor, and P3R, I think the P4 and P6 in 1 year doesn't sound crazy.
I feel like the difference with that is that Metaphor is technically a different game. It's a different game with its own deal going on. Um, it is still very much like it's basic. I mean, it is basically just like Persona game in its formatting, but it is still very much doing its own thing, and it feels very different to P3. Whereas P4 and I just have to assume P6 are going to be much more similar to each other.
I mean, listen, I can see it going either way, especially just with game development being so weird of like, and it's gonna be so down to the wire. It's gonna be crazy. But at the same point, it's almost like one of those things of like I feel like assuming nothing changes for the rest of this year, once P4R comes out, by June we'll have to know. It'll be like, okay, not like we'll have to know when the game's coming out. It'll be like, no, we have to know if it's gonna be physical or not. Because there's gonna start to like the way we had like Insomniac and Santa Monica be like, this game will still be physical. This game will still be physical. Like the fact that it's 2026 and we're having to have publishers confirm that their game is physical 2 years before production ends is crazy. But people, especially in a post GTA 6 world, are now worried that publishers aren't even going to wait till 2028 and start backing out now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think I would want to say that developers would be a big factor in pushing back on this, but maybe not necessarily developers, but more specifically publishers would be like, no, we want this because that just saves us money and it gives us greater control over uh, the market and the pricing and all that.
It's I don't know. It sucks because man, we're just gonna end this episode of being so fucking nihilistic. But I I hope this is not the end of the argument. I hope this is not the end of the discussion. I will say there's worse things to end out on than like having even if you just look at the PS5 generation for Atlas, like they've had a lot of really good stuff that they did put out with it, but I don't know. I not that like I want there to be a final game, but like you gotta imagine, especially as we kind of get closer to it, that I just hope at least if the 2028 date can't get moved, it really lights a fire under a lot of people's asses to make these last games count in a way that we never really saw as much with something like the PlayStation Vita or the PS3, where those kind of just slowly whimpered out. Whereas, like, most people don't know what the last physical Vita game is. Most people weren't playing Persona 3 when it came out in 2017 because the last couple of games were going to be that and, like, FIFA and Just Dance for a couple years. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tough. I know, especially because a lot of people who are into this are so physically oriented in terms of like what we like to play and what we like to do. But at the same time, it's hard to ignore like how big and how prevalent PC is for everything now. But I don't know. I'm not the kind of person who'd be like, I mean, if the next, like, if Persona 7 was a PC only game, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm not going to plug and play that. But I think it just also comes at a terrible time of people have never wanted to move away from a generation less than they have now. Everything is more expensive than it has ever been. And the only thing that's kind of been positive in this industry is all the games that are coming out. And it's like, it's just almost like a battle of attrition of like, how much shitty news can we give you and you say you're still a fan of this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's just such a fucking mess. But I've ranted and raved in general way too long tonight, but especially about this. But do you have any final either takeaways or things you want to say before we wrap up?
Not really. Not really. I feel like I've just said everything that I can say. It's bullshit. It's terrible that they're doing this. Unfortunately, I think this is an inevitability, but we can fight back against it as much as we can. Um, and yeah, no. If I'm gonna get a PC, if I'm gonna get a game on PS5, it's gonna be physical. And then once there's no longer physical, all the digital games go to PC or to Switch 2.
I'm imagining in like 10 years you're gonna have like the Criterion collection of Switch 2 games. It'll it'll just be
Yeah.
like it'll be like this is all I've got. They're It's not much, but here's Max 20 Criterion Collection games for Switch 2. Still not owning Hyrule Warriors because you're just too stubborn.
No. No, that game. No, that's not. It's not worth. It's not good enough to be a
Dang.
Criterion video game.
It'll be Hyrule Slop.
Yeah, it's Hyrule Slop.
Oh my god. All right. Well, this has gone on horrifically long, but I have also been horrifically behind on having a good long chat. So Mac, I appreciate you suffering through this with me. Where can people find you? What do you got going on? What would you like to pimp? The floor is yours.
Just the usual places. You can find me on YouTube at Macca, on Twitter at JBOMacca. Right now I am. Oh man, it has been months since my last actual video. It's been a number of things that I'm gonna get back to eventually, but for the time being, right now, I want to double down more on doing shorts. It's just a matter of work is hell, and I need more time to actually like. I need to have a day in which I don't feel like this is my one day off. It's not like I'm actually working 6 days a week, but this is like I need to have a day in which it's like, okay, it's fine if I work on something else, because when I am not working on my days off, I am like, I don't want to spend my day off right now on editing a video or all of that. I want to just relax, you know? I want to relax and do other things. So once I get more time and we hire someone, we are so short staffed. Once we hire someone, then maybe I'll actually find the time to be able to do shorts again, because I was actually really enjoying doing the shorts. They were a very quick turnaround. It was a lot of fun.
No, for sure. And I mean, again, I can't relate to you even more with it because it's that thing is like, yeah, I'm not working 7 days a week, but it's like for my own mental sake, the last thing I can do sometimes is just be like, all right, you've just worked. Do more. it's like it's like,
Hmm.
would you like to do more work, and is it more fun than your day job? 100%. Does it also pay considerably less? You fucking better believe it, pal. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, man, yeah, I just fucking need, like, I need an actual weekend, like not have a time off, like have an actual attempt at trying to recover and charge with it. But everybody, make sure to check it out. Also, do not let Mac give up on his P4G playthrough. He's got to become a
No,
he's got
no.
to become a real yellow lover before the end of February.
Yes, I am. That's the other thing. I am currently playing through P4G. I've tried playing P4 numerous times in the past, and I always fell off. I've never really tried P4G, so I'm gonna try and see if I can beat Revival to the punch and beat P4 before I do that, before Revival comes out. My plan is I'm gonna be playing and getting the original ending for Persona 4, and then I'll save the golden content for Revival. So yeah, I'm basically doing a normal P4 playthrough,
This man's over here
but with like
purposefully getting the
a
worst
lot of
ending,
visual mods.
getting a worse ending just for a better remake. I appreciate it.
It's the original ending.
Creator's intent.
It's not the worst. Yeah, exactly. That's what matters most. Is creator's intent.
All right. Well, speaking of creators' intent, if you like keeping these creators not well paid, but paid better than definitely than I deserve, don't forget you can go over to patreon.com/SMTN. You can get different perks, giveaways, high fives, handshakes, no hand jobs, not yet. That tier might be coming. Patreon.com/SMTN. I want to give a big shout out to all the $5 and up executive producers. So big extra sleepy thank you to Aaron McNamara, Twist, John Massey, Jesus Coon, Crazy Sloth, Michael Wilson, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Cross Rin, Winnie, Jagingus, Gorosero, Solaire, Stephen Yip, Patrick Dissart, and Robert Magadillis. thank you all so much. Thank you to all the listeners, all the patrons at any level, and Mac for coming on the show. I will be getting this up before the July deadline, but until then, I think both of us need to get some sleep because holy fuck, I'm tired.
I am so sleepy. It is past midnight. I am tired.
All right, well, goodbye, everybody. We will see you next week, which will be next month, which will not be 30 days from now. So I will be back in a much shorter, timelier fashion when will be will we be in a better world? Who knows? But we will be in a more updated day. We'll be 1 month closer to P4R at least. So until then,
Yay.
goodbye, good night, good luck, get some sleep, and Mac, this is where you also say goodbye.
Goodbye. Hello.
So
Welcome. Get out.